Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Basic fucking memes. Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Basic fucking memes. Shoutouts to Aquarius, D-Club, my boy Scott, Pedro, and everyone else that engages on my posts. And Sarah, keep it up, man. You'll get there someday. And everyone else for playing games.
Well, these mad lads were just sitting here, living their lives, having their best selves, live the dream. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Chris? How are you?
What up? What up?
Kurt was back here, but then he had an emotional breakdown, and I think he was having a wardrobe malfunction because his shorts were too short this time. I think that's the story I'm going to tell.
They're too long. They're too long, actually.
Oh no, that's
Hey.
the worst. You don't want the tourist look. That's not good.
No.
Oh, so Jordan, you have a page up here. Should I share it? What do you got? What are you showing
Nope.
here?
No.
Nope. Flick it back. All right. It's probably cool. Is it like video game stuff?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just.
so.
a
That's
video
what we were
game.
talking. We were talking about video games.
Chris was
Yeah.
talking about.
What were you saying about video games?
I was trying to figure out what games he likes, but then I realized, like, very quickly into the conversation, he doesn't like fucking any video games anymore. So we went on to movies.
Dude, it's hard. Video games are such a cool idea, but it's like, how can you have enough time? Like, so talking to this like 6-year-old and about video games a minute ago, and we're talking about Hogwarts Legacy. I'm like, oh, I liked Hogwarts Legacy, and I've had it since the pre-order, and I still haven't beat it. And he's just like, yeah, I beat that game, and like, you know, I was like, great. This 6-year-old's like showing me up here, like he's got all
Yeah.
the time in the world to
Got
enjoy
all the
it.
time though to do it.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
you see a 6-year-old play the game. And he's like, "Yes, I got Avada Kedavra. Now I could just vaporize these fuckers and
Oh
kill
my
them."
gosh. Yeah, it's funny for a vegetarian kid. And then also he loves Skyrim, which is funny, but he says he wishes that I would mod Skyrim for him because he wants to play as different races in the game, which I think is a pretty admirable thing. Like there's particular kinds of people he'd rather be, but you know.
So, while we're on this topic, then there's two rumors I want to bring up about Grand Theft Auto 6. Apparently, like it's going to require you to have an actual job to play the game. Number one, and number two, there's going to be like pride parades in the game.
Yeah, but like it's Grand Theft Auto where you can run people over. What do
Yeah.
you think that they?
What do you mean
what do you
required a
think they're-
job?
All right,
There's a
yeah,
reason
I don't
for
know
that.
how they're going to enforce that, but the second one is really
Okay.
spicy too. Like do you think they're going to have like?
They're doing that because like they just like Exertus said, like you can run people over in cars, so that's going to give someone a lot of stuff to run over in their car, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe. I imagine.
I see that as being not part of the movement that annoys the hell out of me, that has to shove gay down your throat every single day. I think that's more of like a South Park-esque thing where it's like, let's throw that in there so
Well, it
our
could just
players
be
can have some fun with it.
It could just be for the
Launch
sake of
group.
like honest realism, because it is like Miami. You know, there's huge pride representation in Miami, and this isn't the first game to do it. Like if you played like Watch Dogs 2, which takes place in San
Mhm.
Francisco, like they have like large segments that are all prided out, which I thought was like, I didn't think of it as like, oh, they're trying to woke me up here. It's just no, it's fucking San Francisco. Like
Yeah.
it's just covered in poop, and there's a lot of pride stuff. You know.
Knowles
Yeah,
about
Yeah,
to
shout
jump in here.
shout out to 6'7" Kevin for that San Francisco video he made, and Taught me a lot about all the poop all over the streets of San Francisco. I can't wait to ask him about it.
Oh, I work there. I know all about the poop, man.
Can't wait.
You gotta
I
kick
can't
a
wait to
junkie
see it.
sometime.
I want to see it. I want to see the poop. I want to
He wants
smell
to
the
smell
human
it.
poop.
He wants
No,
to
you don't,
smell
bro.
it and touch it.
You're barking up the wrong poop. You don't want that. You don't want that.
It's like every night I'm partying in San Francisco, I get the bubble guts and there's nowhere to go. All the bathrooms are just locked up or taken. So I just got to do what I got to do.
Got to do it everywhere in the street and everywhere else.
We're in the same room, so I was thinking, is there an echo? Can you hear it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, cool.
Nice to meet you, Noel. I'm Jordan, man.
Oh, hey, Jordan. What's up, brother?
Nice to see you, bro. I love the
Hey.
hair. Love the stash.
Oh, thanks, man. I think I met you before, Chris.
Yeah, we did. We've spoken.
Yeah, you met him. Don't worry about him.
Dude, there's a super chat. Jeremy sent a super chat already. Thank you, Jeremy. That's pretty
Yeah,
rad.
you weren't even here.
Well, you know, so I'm a nurse there and I work there, but I like talked to a cop, right? Like, why can't you clean up the town, right? And then he told me that the cops think it's that they want to lower the value of the property so that they can sell it.
Like
To who?
Yeah,
You know, like these big venture capital, like private equity things. They come in and buy up a bunch of land and do whatever they're going to do with it.
Like
Yeah, no
Blackstone
more
or
mom and
whatever.
pop shops in San Francisco. The same thing that happened in New York under Giuliani, right? Like eventually it's just all going to be Starbucks's. Although even
That's what
Starbucks-
actually that's what Bloomberg did.
Is there a mute? Oh, let me mute myself.
What did you say, Chris?
Giuliani was just the one. He had to basically he had to turn the soil. He had to be the ones like, yo, there's too many like homeless people and crackheads and deranged people. So his solution in his infinite wisdom was to just throw them all in jail. And that did kind of work, which, you know, sadly enough, like at the expense of so many innocent people. And then Bloomberg came in after that and he's like, oh, great. You know, like now everything's cleared out. Now we could turn this place into fucking Disneyland. Like literally in Times Square, it's like no different from Disneyland. You see all the costume people trying to pickpocket you.
But also, I mean, there's a broken window tax. So Giuliani set up if you had a broken window that they would charge you money. So then they would go around, people would break windows of these small businesses, and then the small businesses couldn't afford to stay in town anymore. And then eventually you have Starbucks come in, they rebuild a building, and Starbucks has all these windows, right? Like, and you sit there drinking your coffee, looking out onto the street, and nobody wants to, you know, rob a car while there's like 30 yuppies drinking their coffee staring at you, you know. So I think actually Starbucks was part of the crime cleanup, and it was, you know, they're obviously ISIS worshipers, right? Because it's Ish Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you look at the logo, it's basically what's it called flipped upside down.
The twin split-tailed siren.
Yeah.
Well, Starbucks is kind of a pussy. He gets like taken over by Ahab. He tries to stand up to Ahab, and Ahab's just like, what? You know, he like starts like barking at him.
You actually recently read
Starbucks, really?
Moby Dick, right?
Yeah. Starbucks is like he's like a tool on the ship, man. He's not very like he like means well, but he doesn't save himself and he ends up dying. And you know, he tries to stand up to Ahab politely, which is not really like working. Though the guy who got away, who actually successfully escaped, did a mutiny, got locked up by Ahab and escaped, is what's his name? Ironkilt. He's got like a weird name, like Scottish, like Ironkilt.
Yeah, give us a like, you know, what's that show? I Can Show You the World. Remember, like Reading Rainbow. Give us a Reading Rainbow like Ishmael pill. I was gonna say Moby Dick pill us, but that doesn't sound right. So just like tell us about
it's too deep, man. At first I was like, this book is kind of acid. Have you guys ever read Moby Dick?
I read like part of it. I couldn't finish it. It was too tense.
Yeah,
plus I was like 12.
Maybe if you do audiobook, you can hear all the voices, and then it's like more interesting because it's scatterbrained. It's like all these. He puts a bunch of philosophy in there, but it's not scatterbrained. It's like carefully crafted, and I didn't realize it for like the first third of the book, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually like some carefully crafted stuff. He's got like all kind of philosophy in there. But yeah, Starbucks basically is a tool. I think that's the whole theme of the book. No, I'm just kidding. It's not, but it's a way to dunk on Starbucks. There's a guy. He's like one of the mates, like the first mate, Starbucks, and then he like tries to stand up to like Ahab politely, like, "Sir, don't let us be taken by this whale. Ahab should be careful of Ahab." And he's like, "There's something in that, you know." Like Ahab's like crusty as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, Ishmael is the kind of like the cast out son in the Bible. So I always thought Call Me Ishmael, he's kind of talking about being kind of the cast out initiate, right? Like he's like maybe like a blackballed Freemason or something like that, and he's the archetypical wanderer, right? Who's not the chosen son the way Israel is. Yeah, we're one second.
Mom, we're trying to stream.
The man is dealing with his son. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just listening to the whole parallels with like Ishmael and secret societies, well, cast out as an initiate.
Yeah, right. And sort of like this, the ship maybe represents like a lodge. Even I think there might be something about this idea that the Pequod was that the Pequod is like this kind of. Yeah, there's cannibals in the lodge, right? And then you've got the 3 degrees or the 3 mates. You've got Starbuck, Stubb, and Flask are like the, entered apprentice, the master mason. Was it the fellow craftsman, entered apprentice, fellow craftsman, and the master mason?
Yeah.
So Flask is probably the master mason, Stubb is probably the fellow craftsman, and Starbuck is like the entered apprentice, or the first apprentice.
But Stubb and who's the other guy? Flask. They don't pussy out. They're like, fuck you, whale.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for the language. Are we out of language?
We'll be all right.
That's pretty much all.
I don't see how they can blackball me anymore than
Moby
they
Dick.
already have.
It's Moby Dick here.
That's pretty much all of like Outer Heaven right there. Like Metal. I don't know if you're familiar with Kojima's work, but from what it sounds like Metal Gear Solid 5 clearly has some parallels to Moby Dick, because especially with the code names, they were Ishmael and Ahab, and they were kind of a secret society of like paramilitary groups and all that shit.
I just realized I didn't put the link to the show in F chat right now, so I'm setting that up right now because let's see, how do I do this? I go to stream and then click on the top here, and then where is it up top here? You can actually like live stream right here. Enable live stream, boom, and then save. Cool. So now you can literally watch the stream live in F chat, which is pretty sweet. So anybody who wants to, I put the link in the chat right here. You can go to the F chat and you can like have the uncensored chat. People are talking about Epstein's Island and Sasquatch, so that's pretty good. Yeah. So I don't know. So in terms of like the the esoteric school Astarte, I think is another thing is like, so the fellow craftsman's like, the search for the the feminine the feminine archetype, the buck of the star goddess, right? And then that's also the siren Ariel. I was thinking about this recently with the Little Mermaid, that does the prince not even really love her because he's on a ship that crashes when the Little Mermaid's there? They don't show her singing, but isn't it pretty clear that that's what she is? She's a siren.
Yeah,
right?
She fucked his life up. She fucked his shit up.
She must have crashed that ship, right?
Yeah, his life would have been way easier if he just never met Ariel. He wouldn't have had to deal with all that
100%. 100%. And what is, if you read the book and the subtext, like she's afraid that when she dies, she's going to turn into dust, and she wants to turn into an angel and go to heaven. So she needs to steal the soul of a human being, which she decides not to do. Right? That's basically her whole thing. Is she's deciding not to be a religious, zealot or something like that.
She wants to be a normal girl.
Yeah, but her voice gets into Ursula, and as soon as he hears Ursula's voice, it's like he's already hypnotized from the voice from the ship. So now he's hypnotized by the voice, which is going to destroy him of Ursula. So like he's really just under mind control the whole time. He's never got any love.
I wonder how the bear fits in with Ursula, right? Do you have like Ursa? It's like a female bear.
In Moby Dick or what?
No, Ursula. Ursa means bear.
Oh yeah. Is it like a sea bear?
Yeah.
Water bear?
Water bears, dude.
Tardigrades.
Tardigrades. Oh my god. A TARDIS grade. Ursula's going to transport her to another dimension.
Dude, Queequeg though. Who's Queequeg?
Queequeg's the cannibal.
So he's kind of like the actual Master Mason though, because he has that tattoo that says he's a complete history of the heavens and the earth on his chest, right?
But yeah, then Ishmael, so like the whole book's from the point of view of Ishmael, and then he's like, I think he starts tattooing himself also to like learn all the things from Queequeg. So like Ishmael, I think it looks like Ishmael's like joining.
So they never got the fucking whale though at the end, right?
The whale
got them. Bro.
The hunt for the white whale is the black pill. The white whale is the initiatory abyss.
Spoiler alert. They fucking fail. They don't actually get to
died,
kill the
man.
whale. Yeah.
Except
I mean-
for Ishmael, he didn't die. He doesn't. So he survived the initiation.
Yeah, it destroys everyone else. But like if you stare into the abyss stares back at you, right?
Mm.
And also, isn't it the whale just in love with the ship? Like the whale is just trying to mate with the ship. That's why he destroys the ship. Because if he was trying to make love to the ship, you know.
Makes sense. We've all been
But
there.
weren't you saying, you were telling me something yesterday, Andreas, about the cannibalism in the book, that Herman Melville was like on a ship of whalers and he actually witnessed a bunch of cannibalism. But they're also sailing around Borneo in that area, like south of Japan. So it's interesting that I wonder if they picked up some of the, because when I first started listening to it, I'm like, oh, these are like Native American cannibals. And I was like, then as they're like getting on in the book, they're like out in the South Pacific, and you're like, oh, these are like pedigree Borneo cannibals, you know?
Yeah, so basically it was Owen Coffin's cousin George Pollard in the Two Brothers wreck is like the original story that it's based on. And so the Essex was rammed twice by a massive sperm whale, and the ship sank in the South Pacific. And there was like 20 men left, and they fled in a small whaleboat. And over the next 3 months, they were trying to get to the Marquise Island, which was the Marquesas, whatever. And those are the ones that have like, it's like a tropical paradise. It's a perfect place. There's like food, there's lush vegetation, there's everything that they would ever need. But there were already Polynesian societies that lived there, and these guys were super racist, and they're sailors, so they're really conspiratorial, and they have these superstitions. And they thought that there might be cannibalism. They were like, this is a great place to live, but there might be cannibalism. It's super close. We can get there. But what if there's cannibalism? And there was not actually cannibals on the Polynesian islands, but they did eat monkeys. And so that was where the story came from, because people saw these fried monkeys and thought they were like pygmy people that they were eating. And so the story got to the pirates eventually that this is what they believed. So they didn't go where they should have gone. So instead they went to a place called Henderson Island, which is part of the Pitcairn Islands. That is where I think Darwin might have gone there at some point. It's in the north, and it's super cold, it's super dry. There's no fresh water. There's like no food, but it's where birds stop on their flight south to the winter. So at some point they thought, well, maybe we'll find birds there, but it wasn't winter. So there were no birds there. It was the wrong place to be, basically. It's just a big pile of bird guano, right? Do you say guano for bird shit? I don't even know. The white, you know what I'm talking about, bird poop.
Yeah.
This is a bird poop mound from like millions of years of birds landing there since the Jurassic period or something. So like it's turned into like calcified,
porous
like
rock.
Yeah, it's just a horrible, barren place. And 3 sailors actually decided to like stay there, and they like were living off of like shredding up and trying to eat the bird crap. They were like like powderizing it
Naturally,
and
that's
trying
what you do.
to
Yeah.
eat it. And apparently the 3 guys that did that actually were found alive later. Like they survived. But the rest of the Henderson crew, they left. They're like, all right, this island's not good for us. We're going to go try to continue on. And that's when their odds for survival dropped to basically 0 at the point that they did that. And at one point, one of the dudes starved to death. And when the dude starved to death, he, they decided, well, we're hungry. So they ate this dead guy. And then they were still
70% water.
So because they were still, and the salt water is a whole other thing, because you can drink your own urine for like, I think 10 days before you die of,
Ammonia poisoning.
well, no, the salt in your kidneys eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can. I think
You're both muted.
You can
though.
dilute it though. And so that there's a way, if you have a little bit of water and you keep diluting it, you can actually like extend that for like 10 days. So
did you see the guy who had crossed the Atlantic just drinking seawater, but he would drink like 2/3 a liter a day? Did you read about that?
no.
There's a guy who says you can actually survive, but you have to, like, if you're on a ship and then you're going down, right, but you got a raft and you're trying to survive, you have to start drinking seawater immediately while you're healthy to get acclimated to it, because you can't start getting acclimated to it while you're dying.
Dehydrated.
Yeah, exactly. So if you start, but you can't drink that much, so you can only drink like 2/3 of a liter a day, something like that. And then of course you got to like somehow get out of the sun, like maybe. But yeah, a guy crossed the entire Atlantic in a raft. You can look this one up somewhere. But he's drinking seawater. He drank seawater the whole time. He was almost dead by the time he reached the other side. But
This reminds me of Waterworld, how like the first scene of the whole movie was him drinking his own piss.
It's a great movie.
Was it?
True.
I don't remember that.
He is drinking his own piss. I remember that.
Oh wow.
We just turned down the volume slightly because it's a little echo. But yeah, I mean, there was George Pollard was the captain of the Essex, and he had his son-in-law was like his wife's, maybe it was his like nephew or something like that. But he was on the boat, and so after they ate the dead guy, they were still hungry, so they drew straws to see who they would eat next on purpose. And the nephew of the captain got the short straw. And the Pollard's like, dude, I'll fight these people. I'm the captain. Like, I will kill these people if they try to come at you. He's like, no, like I'm ready to die. I'm suffering. And like, realistically, like I'd rather like do this for the men and everything. So they kill him and then they eat him. And I think like 3 or so people, the captain maybe even survived, but like Thomas Nickerson and the captain Pollard were like the only people. They made it. There's like 3 people that survived that made it. Finally, they were found somewhere near Chile. And the third boat disappeared. There's like 3 boats. Like the third boat disappeared forever. Like everyone else died. And so Herman Melville was on another boat. I think he was on the Acushnet, and he ended up meeting with Thomas Nickerson, the kid who was the cabin boy, who was basically the second to lone survivor, and heard the whole story from him. And that was a major inspiration behind the Moby Dick story.
There's this whole section, like right before they finally face Moby Dick at the end, where this captain is searching for his lost son, right? And then Ahab just flat out, it's like, no, raise the sails, we're on our way. You saw the white whale. Like once he gives him the information where the whale is,
there was a movie.
No, we're here to hunt the whale, and everyone else be damned. I'll face hell for it. And then he just like, the captain is just like shocked. He's like, you won't help me look for my son. So that's kind of like, I think it's weaved in that way into the book.
Wait, there was this movie. I forgot what it was called. It was about this guy who visits this old sea guy. He was like a sailor or something. And the wife was like, oh, he never talks about it, but clearly something's like has him all fucked up. So I figure like you as this guy can hear his story through a passive, like objective lens. He's like, yeah, sure. So, he even pays the guy for the story. And this whole thing was about, I think, like this treacherous sea journey that everyone except for like a few people died on, and there was also cannibalism in the story. And the guy, like at the end of it, recorded all the information, and that was supposedly the person who wrote Moby Dick. I fucking forgot what this movie was called. It was basically about the story behind the story, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I was thinking about Louis Zacker's Holes. Do you guys remember that book Holes, where like this kid goes to the desert to dig holes, and they made a movie out of it, right?
Holes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
It's like it won an award, right? Like children read that book also.
Totally,
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's like the
I read
movie
that
with,
shit. Yeah.
LaBeouf, Holes,
There's another camp.
Yeah. Did you know? Yeah, it's true. That's interesting. There is a camp. This syncs up. Did you know though that there was actually another version of the screenplay for the movie that was written by
Stanley Yelnats,
Kelly, who did Donnie Darko.
Okay.
And it's super nuts. It's actually like the weirdest, like, so in the original in Richard Kelly's version, Camp Green Lake is a military juvenile prison camp mostly comprised of orphans and young offenders from a recent nuclear war that has destroyed most of Texas.
Whoa.
He completely took it to a whole new place. And the warden is a religious fanatic who has an odd interest in Yelnats.
I like that they gender swapped the warden into this hot, foxy MILF with like toxic fucking nail polish that she could just use to scratch men's faces with, so they get all fucked up. I mean, that was pretty creative. That wasn't Holes. That was in the book. Except like apparently in this other story, the warden is this boring dude who's just like religious.
Oh
yeah.
Like Courtney Love, like Holes.
I thought it was Sigourney Weaver or something, right? Like is in the movie as like the warden or as Mr. Sir or underneath or something like that. But in the nuclear Holocaust script, and you can get the screenplay that he wrote and you can read. I'd actually recommend reading Donnie Darko, Richard Kelly's screenplay for the post-apocalyptic Holes, because it's freaking nuts. He made it into like an R-rated, pitch black post-apocalyptic tale with prostitutes, prison abuse, PTSD. It's like they go into abandoned nuclear fallout shelters in a mall that's all burnt up, and they're trying to find like the records of what happened in Texas before this nuclear disaster. And then the people who asked him to make the movie, they're like, no, What? Like, why would you? No, stop it. We just wanted the kids like the book. We just want to make the.
Yeah. No, I liked Holes. I remember I got that book at a
Yeah, you
fucking
do.
book fair. Yeah, you do. I got it at one of those book fairs in school. You guys remember that? Or you get that like sheet of
Oh,
paper,
yeah.
bring it home. Yeah.
I used to love that.
Dude,
I
we
got
should
so many
write
I
for
Spy books.
Scholastic. Scholastic is the biggest comic book publisher in the world, bigger than Marvel and DC combined, right? Like they sell
Who
more
is there?
comic books. Dude, Scholastic Book Fair, Scholastic
Captain
Magazine,
Underpants, bro. That shit is
Captain
hot.
Underpants is huge. It's way bigger than Spider-Man or Superman combined, you
Yeah.
know?
Yo, that shit had me cracking up as a little kid in elementary school. I was reading Captain Underpants, like full on gut busted laughing, like ha 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 ha. So stupid.
It's a good book, and also a good series of books. The Patsy 2000, where you could like make a machine that you put an image into and it would realize it. That's literally Ray Kurzweil's Singularity. You know, like there's a lot of depth and profundity to Captain Underpants. They won't tell you, but it's true. Isn't it also like the principal is Captain Underpants because he hit his head or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. It's his altar.
He was the principal too.
Yeah.
Oh my!
And he was just like straight laced, like straight
Sounds
man.
like
He
some
was the
perverted shit to me, man. I don't know. Sounds
Yo,
like
that's
some
so true.
Epstein stuff
It
to
is
me,
sus.
man.
He's right. It
Garfield's
is pretty
plastic.
fucking sus. That shit is pretty sus now that I think
Garfield's
about it.
pretty
You know?
sus too, bro.
Man, that
Well,
sounds
he
good.
shits all over John. That's why John loves him, right?
Yeah, and he's got this abusive relationship with that cute little dog. There's some
Odie,
weird,
yeah, I always felt wrong about that. Like Garfield's not good to Odie for sure.
yeah, it's like a dumb blonde that he just like belittles. You know, it's like it's a bad relationship. He's like a.
Maybe he's a cannibal.
I think there's weird. I don't know. Am I wrong to say that there's weird erotic undertones or even overtones to Garfield?
John's
Right?
always got hot chicks.
Yeah, and so then he's kind of the alpha, but he's a beta, you know. And so this cat who's a beta is actually the alpha because he runs John's life and he's totally
Did John
manipulating
get,
him.
did John get chicks in the comics too?
Yeah,
Dude, they're always hot too. It's weird because he
Huh.
acts like a total like cock, you know.
Yeah. Fuck, that's weird.
But he pulls it somehow. Maybe it's element of surprise or something.
Maybe he's
Dude,
a
they're
beard.
always like. I mean,
Maybe she's.
yeah.
I mean, there's as hot as he can drum.
Maybe they're all beards. They're all prostitutes. Maybe.
Or are they
No,
all?
yeah.
Are they actually all just John? Because they look just like John. Is it just John's psyche is projecting?
Yeah. What's going on
like
here?
Fight
Why
Club.
does he
Being John Malkovich.
Yeah, being John Garfield's John. Johnson.
Yeah, there might be something to that. I don't know. But Garfield definitely has some kind of evil vibe to him, right? And then
My wife stopped my son from reading Garfield because my son kept going, I'm bored. And I was like, that's okay. It's good to be bored.
Holy shit.
He kept doing what?
No, because he kept saying, I'm bored. You know how Garfield always says, oh, I'm bored.
Okay.
You know, and then my son started, you know, saying that he's bored all the time. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, he learned it from Garfield. Garfield's bad. I was like,
Yeah, there's much
pretty
worse.
tame. But now, Andreas, you're making me think twice. Garfield, maybe there's something sus about it.
It's
I mean, there's something sus about anything aimed at kids, right? Like, because it's always like, oh, it's just a kid's show. Whenever you hear those words, it's just a kid's show, or it's just a kid's media. You're like, okay, did a kid make it? No, some weird perverted man made this shit just for kids.
Like
What's up
Nickelodeon.
with this guy? Is he
Oh,
like historically? It's Lewis Carroll, right? Oh, it's just a kid's book, Alice in Wonderland. Well, what did he do with that little girl? You know, it's always kind of sus when someone aims their media just at kids. Don't get me wrong. I think like early childhood development is super important, but you know, you can't trust them.
Like kind of like Horatio Alger sus. Like he writes these like poor man gets accepted by rich man like story, but then he was like maybe a pedo or something.
You never know, but probably right. I think like half.
It was like
all-
they were books for boys. You know, like young boys were reading Horatio Alger, like rags to riches stories. You know,
Hardy Boys, clearly kind of weird, right?
Well,
I guess like it wasn't bad because as a kid I read a lot of like what do you call those? I guess they're young adult novels like S.E. Hinton. No, that's younger than young adult. That's like teen literature. But then I saw the movies and I was like, this is a weird, like looking back, that's a weird literary influence for a kid because it's like this is like gang violence before there was even like rap music. You know, this was like white on white gang violence and what that was like back in those times, and what it was like being a young boy growing up. And it's just this lady, S.E. Hinton, had so much insight into the experiences of like a teenage. It just basically, none of it felt like manipulative or like exploitative. It honestly felt like this interesting take on like dude culture, bro culture, from the eyes of this lady, S.E. Hinton. I don't know anything about her, by the way. I think there's always like about the authors in the book, but I really don't know much.
And also, like, how many of these things are actually written by this author instead of by like a ghostwriter?
Yeah, exactly, man.
It seems, I mean, she intentionally changed her name to sound less like a lady, right? Like
True.
that's, yeah. So, I mean, that to me already kind of adds like some legitimacy. Like why would you go, well, you know, why would you bother then?
Well, but then you created a pseudonym, which literally isn't yourself. So it'd be even easier, right? Like J.K. Rowling is probably like the British government. I feel like I could be wrong, but there's just something about those books that seem a little too deep to be written just by her. Maybe not. I'm not saying it's because she's a woman, though. It's just because one person writing those books, it's so particularly archetyped.
Yeah, The Outsiders, Tex, Rumblefish. It was good shit. Sorry,
But
you guys are
he
muted.
probably had like a certain amount of control over what.
Shakespeare's not alone.
Yeah, Shakespeare's not even a writer. He's like a illiterate actor that they put as a front for the writers.
Yeah. Remember, I mean, it's not like I got into anything other things like the Boxcar Children, which was like that shit was like herpes, you know, and all over like the school's bookshelves. Every school you look, there was just like the whole Boxcar Children set. Like I never read it, so I don't even know what it's about.
Yeah, I don't even know about that one. So what is that like about foundlings? What is the
It's
deal?
about a bunch of orphans, I think, who like, you know, they had like it's us against them, like anti-adult, which I kind of like those stories because like let's be real, you can't really fucking trust adults as a kid. So like it's about a bunch of orphans, the most vulnerable kids, getting together and living out of a fucking train boxcar,
Out
I
of a
think.
foundling train? Yeah. Seems
Yeah.
kind of suspect.
What's a foundling train?
You know, like the orphan trains in the 19th century? Here, I'll show you pictures.
Oh, is that like a huge like child kidnapping thing?
Yeah, it's a major Tartaria thing, right? It's like so orphans and foundlings. Wow, interesting picture. Foundling train. Let me just put a picture up here. So they would go to towns and they would say, "Hey, do you need kids? Well, the foundling train is coming to town." And you would go down to the train spot and then you would just pick up trains. And the post office would actually deliver these kids. And so this was in conjunction with multiple governments around the world, and particularly with the Catholic Church, who ran orphanages. And so they would say, hey, we have to be careful because we don't want these kids to inbreed, especially if they're all brother and sister. There's a thing they now call the Luke and Leia complex, where if you're related to each other and you don't know you are, you might find familiality and fall in love, which could lead to inbreeding. In the 19th century, they were super worried about incest and inbreeding. So they're like, what we need to do is we need to take like 30,000 orphans from Argentina and send them to Russia, you know, and then 30,000 orphans from Russia and send them to Argentina or like to Canada, right? And so they were sending kids back and forth on boats and on trains to like from Canada to the South, from the South to Mexico, and so all of these people, and it's really funny because a lot of people are like, why don't you know your family? You're like, I'm American, you know, I don't know who my ancestors are. Well, it's possibly and often because your family was cut off at some point where you were stolen because your parents weren't married properly, didn't have enough money, and there wasn't like proper planning.
Or they died in a war.
Or they died in war. But also there were these periods where, you know, if you look at like fertility rates, there's major bumps where like 90% of the population are infertile for like 10 years at a time because of syphilis or some weird mumps disease or the influenza or like. And so in the 1800s, the early 20th century, in the 1600s, there's a couple points where like fertility rates drop, and then they just literally take kids from other places because these orphanages, and then they import them to these new places. And so people would actually build businesses around this. They have foundling homes, which are now called orphanages, but they're these huge White House looking buildings where they would get like 30 kids and you'd get like $100 per kid per week or month or something like that. And so they would run these big organizations, and then all of these kids who were orphans ended up in major Masonic positions through these fraternities, like the Odd Fellows was a big one that would promote them into major positions. And you can look up like famous or really important orphans through history, and they often get these amazing positions, these jobs where they're like the Belgian police chief, or involved with the FBI, or like Pinkerton detectives, or because
Well,
a lot of
those
people who didn't have families would raise these orphans.
those organizations are kind of still around, and it's pretty sus too, like with the Daughters of Job. Supposedly it's like it's supposed to be like this Girl Scouts kind of Masonic organization, but it's weird because historically I think they were known for taking in a lot of orphans, and these orphans would also go on to be used in like those ceremonies where, I don't know, like they have like some things to do with child brides. Supposedly it's ceremonial, but I don't know. And they specifically recruit them from the Daughters of Job, which, it all ties into this whole like orphan industry, I guess.
Totally, orphan trains.
Orphan assassins.
Yeah,
Orphan assassins,
for real.
sleeper agents, yeah.
Black Widow style.
Yep. Swallows and ravens. Swallows are the people who are used to like sexpionage operatives. Female ones are called swallows, and ravens are the male ones, I think.
I'm trying to look into like particularly which ones I'm talking about, but there's like some really famous examples. But there's like a foundling museum in London I want to go to. It talks all about this, where there's a reason why a lot of the royals have their family lineage going back centuries, and then there's a lot of people that are poor that don't really know where their family come from before 100, maybe 200 max years ago, right? The big conspiracy was like, are they just like growing these babies? But I don't think that's real. I think that's more of a, what's his name? There's a guy who does shows, and he's all talking about like cabbage babies, right? You know what I'm talking about. But I think it's more that they're just stealing babies.
Maybe the idea is like, all right, if you were these organizations stealing babies, why continue to steal them during war times and like disasters if you just make them, I guess, in some facility in Antarctica or on the moon or one of Elon Musk's baby factories floating in space.
We got babies attacking the door with swords right now. Sorry.
Oh no!
Noel's babies are like, hey, what are you talking about? I want to know.
What are you talking about in there?
Serious stuff. Serious. Talking about serious stuff. Look at those costumes.
Right?
Look at that drip.
These are like they got turned into soldiers, right? A lot of orphans were soldiers, and like you said, orphan assassins. And look at the guy.
The one in the front, man, the kid in the front, he looks serious.
Dude,
that's a serious boy.
No breastfeeding. And I think that's the major thing where a lot of people say, like, why certain people don't do breastfeeding. I think it's because they were raised from families that came from foundlings that were against these ideas. And some of the elite, too, were taught to never do this because they were raised by foundlings. So, obviously the people that don't breastfeed tend to be, there's reasons that breastfeeding makes you like healthier and like more loving. But I remember being in a school and they were talking about this, like how it's like healthy to breastfeed. And there's a bunch of kids in LA with like piercings and all over their face. And they're like in all this black fishnet clothes. And they're like, I wasn't breastfed. And look at me. I turned out fine. And you're like, dude, you look you look like a hot advertisement.
It's like stay in school, kids. Stay on breast milk or you'll end up like me.
Did you guys see the episode I put up like years ago about Henry Darger? Do you guys know who Henry Darger was?
No.
Henry Darger is really interesting. This dude was a foundling who escaped. He was in an orphanage, and then he was in an insane asylum. And it's probably because he had like a weird language that was unusual to them, like a Slovakian or some kind of weird thing they weren't familiar with. So he just like eventually escaped this like work camp orphanage. And then he went off and he, lived his life. And when he died, they found in his room the largest novel ever written. It's like 15,000 pages or more. And it's all about this thing he calls the realms of the unreal. Realms of the unreal. See if I can find pictures of it. And because no one ever taught him how to like do anything, he had to learn himself how to draw. So he's this famous outsider artist. And it's all about these little girls that are fighting this war in the realms of the unreal against the bad men, and sort of like the civil war of these evil men that are trying to kill these little girls. And all the little girls have penises because he didn't know what girls look like, I guess, or something. I'm not sure. No one knows exactly what the deal is, but he drew these really strange pictures.
This is just like Sailor Moon and the
Mute
Sailor
it, maybe,
Scouts.
or turn it off. I don't know. He's got this phone that's ringing.
This is just
I'm
like
trying to
Sailor
find the
Moon.
picture for you here. Like, look at this
Yeah,
weird
it's
art that this guy like completely invented on his own. I guess what he did was he took like magazines and advertisements, and then he studied them to learn how to draw things like that, and he would create these like crazy pictures. The whole
Mhm.
thing's written on like butcher paper, you know, like he just did for hundreds and hundreds of tens of 15,000 at least pages of butcher paper that's all like 2 meters long a piece, right? Yeah, and they're
15,000 pages of
paintings and writings, right? Because he's actually got words and pictures that go together in this huge long, kind of like a scroll, really. Just like
It's amazing.
yeah, it's actually really incredible. And I don't know if anyone's actually read the whole thing even because it's so freaking long, but it's been studied. And it's just the idea of this war that's going on with these like little girls that they're fighting against these evil men. And there was a girl that was like the star of his story, who was a girl who was kidnapped and murdered, probably disappeared when she was like 10 years old or something like that. And they're always wondering, like, did he kill her? Like, was he the guy who did it, or was he just obsessed with this tragedy of this girl being tortured or killed or something like that? Because he was obsessed with it for years, but she was the star of his story. So
Don't you think if they have penises, then he probably didn't?
muted. You should probably unmute.
I was just saying that if the girls have penises, maybe he didn't kill her because maybe he didn't, look.
That was actually my thought.
What her naked looks
Straight
like.
up.
So he's probably like just like this, like innocent creature.
Yeah, who understands like kids being tortured because he was in this tortured foundling situation. Like, look how good that is, though, right? Like, how do you learn how to draw like that if you're? Oh, sorry, hold on. This right here. How do you learn how to draw like that if you're like this crazy old man who works as a custodian in this small town, and all you have is access to other pictures to learn how to draw? I mean, look at that. Like, the details that he figured out, like that he understood art on a level that no one taught him, is pretty fascinating to me.
Pretty
If
cool
you're gonna
stuff.
steal stuff from the best, yeah. Sorry, Chris. You're about to say something.
Yo, I was gonna say it actually doesn't sound bad if Nal keeps his mic muted and Andreas doesn't, because I
was
can kind of
just
hear
gonna say that. Was just
I could
gonna
hear
say-
Nal pretty well from Andreas'
You're
mic
mine?
alone.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
we'll mute Noel's mic. You talk again, Noel.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Really?
Can you hear me?
All right,
Yeah.
well, that works really well then. All right.
How about that? I was like, why are you looking over here, bro?
So what have you guys been up to? Chris, what have you been up to this week?
This week I've been working, doing martial arts practice, a lot of recording with old friends. And yeah, I'm kind of worried about, people from my teenage years. I mean, some of them are doing really well, but some of them are just like, I don't know if you're there yet, but I think like I'm getting kind of worried.
Yeah, some people, it's weird how many people I know who are like dead or transgendered or whatever, maybe both, even from my high school years, Like, I went to this bar, like the Blue Lagoon in Santa Cruz, and I saw this girl come up to me, and she's like, Smurf, because they used to call me Smurf because I had blue hair when I was a kid. Hugs me, huge boobs in my chest. And it's like, it's me, James, or Jason, I forget now. But it was like, I don't even remember who that was as a man, but now I start like, because usually I can remember a face, but now I don't even have that to go on anymore. So
You just have the
like,
spirit,
awesome.
the soul.
Like, how are you
the
doing?
essence.
Like, I'm great. Like, yeah, clearly good for good for you.
The essence of Jason.
You seem happy. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
otherwise it's like people that became addicted to drugs and just like drop off and fall by the wayside. That's really hard.
This is like a really cringe thing to say, but during I had like a drugs and society class in nursing, and then so I like looked in the obituaries like from my high school in like Wisconsin, and then it was like I saw like a newspaper article with like 2 of my girlfriends in there, and like one of them got the other killed on heroin, and I was like, dang, like what the hell?
Oh, it was Forerunning. Forerunning was the one. Oh man.
That's so cringe though. Like,
Yo, Speaking of which,
Yeah.
So great.
sorry, speaking of which, along the same vein, actually, I was watching a lot of 6-7 Kevin's videos, the Dregs of Society series, and a lot of one of the most consistent parts of it was like, you know, he would ask the people in every city, it's like, so what's the opiate situation? Like, what's the fentanyl situation? What's the heroin situation? He even did like a whole mini documentary of this like Gen Z girl whose friend like OD'd on fentanyl, which I mean, as a 34-year-old, I'm like, okay, great, common story. But for her, it's like, I don't know, it's like a huge problem for people my age. Like I was 15 at the time. It's insane. And apparently Snapchat is where anybody can just go to get some fentanyl, and it's killing people. Killed a lot of my friends.
Oh, Andrew's made it. Hey, Andrew, we're just talking about fentanyl.
Yeah. The bad
How
stuff.
bad is my echo?
It's
Never
all right.
tried
I
it.
mean, this is a weird retrograde episode for sure, so don't worry too bad. But yeah, it sounds a little like you're, you know, talking through a walkie-talkie in Vietnam.
Tight. Now I just need to know or learn, what do you call it, Navajo.
Yeah, that would be useful for something, right? What would we use Navajo for at this point? I mean, to pick up Navajo chicks, I guess. That'd be kind of cool.
They have
Yeah,
nice
just-
flatbreads. They fry their flatbreads.
I do love Navajo bread.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's one of the best.
You go to Burning Man on your way in and out, like the only thing that matters is getting some Navajo tacos. So good.
I think Chalupa's like ripped them off. Man.
Yeah, for sure. What have you been up to, Vega?
The
What
unk
have I
on the
been up
res.
to? I've been doing fireproofing and other sort of like ballistic insulation at the new VA hospital here in my city of Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, we're supposed to ask you about something, right? There was this like giant explosion that happened, right? There was like a fire at the airport, and like you
Oh,
were
yep,
nearby.
yeah.
Weren't you like nearby this when this happened or something? Like, was your family like okay?
Yeah, we were fine. It was taken off in one of the other three directions, cardinal directions. It didn't go towards us, and thankfully the smoke and all because that shit was burning for hours. Like the debris, people's cars, all the jet fuel. You know, it's hot enough to melt a steel beam. Hot dang.
Allegedly.
So, yeah, no, it's what was it? A McDonnell Douglas, an MD-11? Is that what it was? All I know is that there was that Boeing, and then McDonnell Douglas. Is that who it is? Yeah, is that right? There was a merger between them, and basically the quality just fell off because Boeing used to be very big on quality. You know, there was the whole pilot saying, "If it's not Boeing, I'm not going." And Douglas aircraft generally were known to not be so great. And then when they merged, all the Douglas executives, just made an illegal turn. All the Douglas executives sort of just they adopted the brand name Boeing, but it was ran by the Douglas people, and they're known for like what's it called where you're like. They take over a company and then they just like bleed it for everything that it's worth.
Hostile takeover?
Liquidation.
Yeah, something like that, something to that effect. There's like another like fancier. It like almost makes it sound like nice, like it's like it's a business strategy. It's a I don't know, yeah. But anyway,
It's a merger.
Yeah,
It's a merger. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they did that, and they're So yeah, no, it's ever since the takeover, which I think was in the 90s or some shit. Just Boeing quality's gotten progressively worse and worse, and quality control is like one of the first things that they cut corners on to like increase their profit margins. So who knows which corner it was that was cut, but the whole freaking left wing engine just came off. It was laying on the runway. So yeah, it was pretty wild. And I hope it just brings more attention to aviation safety and.
Dude, it's not.
You know,
That's all I can tell you is like airplanes are getting worse and worse. So I was in Alaska Airlines and it was okay, but I was looking at like the history of planes. And it's like planes were so good in the 60s and they're just getting thinner and cheaper, and people don't know how to fly. And more, it's like every plane I'm in, the landing is rough, the takeoff is like wobbly, and they just don't know what they're doing anymore because they got all the decent pilots are retiring, so it's just getting worse all the time.
On my way to compliment the pilot for sure if they do a good landing.
How do we make these young fucking pilots better at flying planes?
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, the MetaQuest Pro is going to train all these like little alpha kids. You know, they'll just wear this headset and they'll learn how to fly a Microsoft Flight Simulator. Because like
It's gonna
otherwise,
be-
we're screwed.
It's gonna be Waymo, JetBlue, or some shit.
I think so too. I think that that's a big part of the drone thing. Is very soon we're going to be all like impersonal drones that pick you up and drop you off. I mean, because you could reduce the
Jetsons,
traffic.
baby.
But that was a big thing in Back to the Future is they're stuck in traffic jams in the sky. You know,
That's
it
Ridiculous.
never goes away.
Just go under.
I mean, it's probable. I don't know. Yeah, and Darko, back to the Darko sink, right? Because the whole point of Donnie Darko, the plane that crashes into his roof. It's crazy. What about you, Jordan? What have you been up to?
Just been my grandpa.
I saw a
has
couple
been-
of videos you did, by the way, that are freaking amazing. The Paranoid American video you did. Just gonna
Thanks,
say
buddy.
that was awesome.
Yeah, I've been working on a bunch of episodes. Trying to do like 2 a week, give or take. But I got a bunch of pretty big ones planned. But I just need the time to prep for them. I've been pretty busy lately with family, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. But yeah, busy time. So I'm hoping that things calm down after the holidays, and yeah, I can start pumping out some stuff that I've been concocting in my brain, different ideas. But yeah, that's about it, man. That's about it.
Dude.
I just need one idea for a video. Like that's not a podcast, you know, like maybe I'll do like a little mini documentary on jiu-jitsu in America.
Yeah, I'd like
just
to
go
yeah, I'd like to work on something. Someone
just go into
contact
these
me or
just go into
something.
these jiu-jitsu gyms like, yo, I'm doing a documentary, bro. Let me interview you
down.
guys. Are you guys? Yeah, of course.
Man on the street, man in the dojo.
Interview like the 3 people that are in a competition to like win a title of something like that.
The different
And then you
schools.
have
It's
to-
like, oh, those guys, they fucking suck, yo. Don't even bother interviewing
You-
them.
Hey Chris, what you should do is you should approach people who study different disciplines and see if they can disarm you with a like a sparring katana.
Oh, dude, of course they can. I'd be like,
Nice.
yo, off the jump, I'd be like, you could probably kick my ass, you know. So let's just get that out of the way. I'm not here for that. I just wanna get the word out, you know, for jiu-jitsu to the people of YouTube.
I think you could probably. You don't think you could kill a guy with a sword who's good at jujitsu? You think that they would? You couldn't slice him before he got. I mean, what are they going to do if you're coming at him with a sword? Do you think they're going to bend around? Really? I'd like to see that. That'd be kind of
Just,
interesting.
Yeah.
They just like go on the ground.
Dude,
know,
Noel's
I
been
feel-
playing this game called Chivalry 2, which is. Have you seen this? Where you just like swing swords at each other in like a big MMO.
I heard of the game Chivalry. Actually, I think it's from what I've seen, it's pretty fucking cool.
Imagine Battlefield with like crossbows and swords and axes, pole arms
Yeah.
and knives. And
Yeah.
Like you can pick up any body part and like huck it at people and stuff.
Dude, it's incredible. Like this is it basically. You come around, you got a chicken and a knife. You know.
Yeah, you can light
Yeah.
the chicken on fire and like freaking cold cock people in the face.
Is that
with
VR?
And they'll like catch on fire.
I think that they must have a VR like version because it works in first person, so you can do third person for more peripheral view. But
That'd
I
be
mean,
cool
yeah,
in
it's
VR,
just I mean,
for sure.
it's so
Well,
heavy, like carrying the
my-
sword around and stuff, and the cool off
My fe-
period, like calm down. Oh man, it seems like this must be pretty cathartic. You know,
You should censor this. This is too violent for the audience.
Too much blood.
Too much blood, too much dismemberment.
Not actually.
Yeah, I will-
They wouldn't be like in the back, you know, like protecting the king. Like if you like the peasants get around and like flank the front, and then if you run up against like 4 dudes with long swords and plate mail in the back, they're just gonna stop. They're gonna be like, "Oh shit, that's a long sword! Like he's gonna
Yeah.
cut my arm off, or you know, cut my head off, cut me in half with that thing." And even in longsword duels, like I don't think I've come across any longsword duelists who survived dueling each other. They all died because like it's just such a big blade, you know. Like you get hit by a longsword, you're just like, it's like The Witcher. You're like getting cut in half, you know.
but they're always, you know, you were talking about this. They're always dying so quickly. Like people get stabbed in the movie, they're just like, and
oh, yeah, no, people don't die that fast in real life. Like they're there's a guy. So I work in a hospital, and I have a friend who's working in the ER, and they said the guy got impaled by. He was on a motorcycle. He got impaled by a tree branch, and it still took him like 2 or 3 hours to bleed to death. You know, it was like going like straight through his like abdomen. He's just like, yeah.
Well,
but yeah,
I
people
mean,
don't die. Like it's like, what do you mean they like die in like 1 second? Unless you like pierce them straight in the heart, it's gonna take some. Yeah, man.
Yeah, these movies, man, people are just too ready to die.
They need to stare at the dying people longer.
It should be like that. That should be the movie. The movie should just be someone die. Like the movie starts with someone getting hit in a sword fight, and the next 90 minutes to 2 hours is just them like making peace with themselves. First, like the 5 stages of grief, right? They're getting angry about how they're dying.
Yes.
And they're trying to like plead with God not to die, and then they're like coming to terms with it, and just like the suffering, and then they crap themselves.
A great movie, a great movie that I think depicted it at least close enough was that fucking Timothée Chalamet movie with Robert Pattinson. I think it was called. Yeah, I like that one because like when they show the battles, you're not thinking, "Oh, this is awesome." You're thinking like, "Wow, that looks really shitty." Like I'm glad I'll never have to do anything like that.
Movie? What movie's that?
The King. Yeah, I think it was called The King. And
Yeah,
then there was even a duel where
Oh.
it's like, wow, this kind of sucks. Like they probably knew each other since they were young boys, and now it's like, fucking go ahead, you know, through politics, you guys are gonna have to kill each other in the mud.
Oh, I think that's
Shaolin
like the
and
best.
Wu-Tang.
That's the best movie from the '80s, I think.
Dude, that's a tall order. I gotta say, there's a lot of good movies from the 80s, but I
And the
haven't
best kung fu movie.
seen Shaolin and Wu-Tang. I'm gonna have to
I
watch it. We'll have to watch that. Someone just asked how many sword injuries are at the hospital. A lot more than you'd think. It depends on where you are, though. If you're in England, I'm sure it's even more.
I was gonna
Right.
say,
No, not so much. Most people aren't trained though. Like, I've had one.
That's more than enough, I think. If you're still using, I mean, but if you go to like a country where swords are the only thing, like knives and swords are all they have.
I'd be tempted to like
Like
get in a
England.
real sword fight with just like a face mask and just get some scars on my arms and chest, but like, it hurts getting whacked by like a piece of metal, especially like getting hit in the arm by like a two-handed sword that's like blunt. Freaking hurts, man.
Just hitting people with pipes. Yeah.
But yeah, you do sword fighting, Chris, right?
Me? Yeah, I've been fucking practicing for like 7-8 years now, and I don't know. I mean, all these years, like I went from like the beginning, which was like just focusing everything on my arms and the sword, and then now at this point, it's like, you know, it's kind of a distraction. Like what's more important is your form, like your posture, what your legs are doing, the orientation of your feet. That's what they really don't, you know, they don't teach in like a lot of like swordsmanship schools. They don't really teach the fundamentals of the body before the sword, which I think for me personally, that's what helps. Yeah.
I do Italian side sword and long sword. It's all about like edge alignment, or it's weird. It's like all geometry and like it's making structures.
Yeah, yep. It's fun. And I don't know.
It's hard to explain if somebody doesn't do swords, like how much like just moving 2 inches over here.
It's like golf.
Like,
yeah,
the way you stand in golf matters as much as your swing.
Actually, when I, you know, since I like teach a lot of like rookies that come in, like newcomers, if it's their first class, I'll tell them, you know, I'll show them, because like if they're trying to get the sound with the right edge alignment, they get frustrated and they swing harder and harder. And then I'm like, look, and then I just show them, and I do it with like no strength. I'm like, it's not really about the strength. To get a strong cut, it's kind of just getting out of the way so the sword can do its job. You know, the sword does all the fucking work. Like the harder you swing, the more like points of failure you're creating in between point A and point B. So that's why, you know, like it's about like having a solid posture and a solid stance, but not really like muscling through it.
well, the Italian
Hold on,
stuff
be
is
right
a lot
back.
like you're always trying to get in the bind because then you know you have control over the situation.
I hate the bind. My favorite thing to do is staying like, if you're good at range, that's what I'm good at. Like I'm able to like make myself look like I'm in range, and then you swing and then you miss like by like a little bit, and then I fuck you up. And that's like, that took a long time for me to understand, because it's not just knowing range, but like what to do about it. Like you kind of need to expose yourself to kind of like make them take a swing, and then you're like, nope, and then you're dead.
Well, sometimes we'll fight without helmets with the metal swords, just because then we'll be afraid of it. Because like, then you actually get defensive. Like, oh, I don't want to get hit in the head with a piece of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
No, you fight completely differently.
Oh yeah, even if it's like that, I did that exercise before where I'm like I saw the way they were fighting with padded swords, and I'm like, this isn't right. So I'm like, all right, start, and then they start, and then I took it away and gave them wooden swords. It's like, all right, now do the same shit, and they didn't, and I was like, see, that kind of teaches you something, right, guys? Like,
You guys see like I'm trying to find the pictures of Elon Musk's new robot real quick. Have you guys looked at that thing? This is not the one I'm thinking of because it has like a knit body, right? Knit. Where's the?
Yeah.
These are not right, man. That's not what I'm looking for. What's the name of the company?
I don't think
Elon
I don't
Musk
think it's his.
robot.
I think it's a different company.
Oh, really? I thought he financed it or something.
is that the
The
one with the
ones,
skin?
the ones that are ready for
You're talking
pre-order.
about like the felt ones that come in
Yeah, the one
three
with
different
the-
colors. There's like a white, beige, and a black one.
It's like $20,000 or something.
They're
Yeah.
ready for
Neo.
pre-order.
I think it's Neo. That's right,
Yeah.
isn't it? And it's like, yeah, Neo.
I
And
want
like
my-
Neo looks like it looks like a rope. It looks like a guy in a fencing outfit. And
Yeah.
I
I don't like
keep
that.
imagining like that's what they're gonna do is they're gonna train these robots because the thing is you pay $20,000 and if it doesn't know how to do the thing, then you just have like some human take over the robot back at the headquarters and walk around your house and do the laundry for you. But that just means that this thing could at any point have its mind jacked by some swordsman or some swordsman app, and you got a fencing robot that's gonna slice everybody up like ninjas,
I don't like robots shaped like humans, though. I'd rather robots kind of look like robots, like
Or like
maybe with,
spiders.
4 legs.
Fencing
Yeah.
robot. Actually, we were talking about it last weekend. I'll be like the first person to buy that. I'll be like, oh,
Or even like a BB-8.
Dude, this face, man, and the whole the idea of the knit outfit to me just seems very, like yeah. Why would you
He
have
looks
it wear
sad.
knit?
What if it has
Dude, look at the
retarded-
guy who runs the company. He looks like a fucking weirdo.
Dude, what do you guys think about I don't want to cut if you're gonna keep talking about swords, but what do you guys think about the 3-eye
fuck it.
Atlas?
That it's
Well, I mean,
it's
3-eye
actually
is
an
the
alien
Trinity. I
spaceship.
wrote well, yeah. So like they're all like they're saying it's a meteor. So okay, so first you had Oumuamua show up 5 years ago, whatever it was, and then it's this like long boomerang thing. It gets close to the sun, and then it got white hot, and then it spun out. So people could say that that was just a weird phenomenon, but also it's like here's a spaceship that has all sorts of rock around it, so that if it gets hit by anything, it won't break apart. And then it looks natural, but then the rock is getting so hot from being so close to the sun that charges the thing, piezoelectricity.
Mhm.
Then it can spiral off, and now from wherever it's coming from, there's the 3-eye Atlas thing is coming from that same place. And on one hand, I figure obviously it's a psyop, right? Like flat Earth and it's all space is fake. But on the other hand, it's now I'm starting to wonder about it more and more because they keep making it sound like chill out. Like there was the, they said the mysterious interstellar object just exploded. So like relax, it's just like a thing. But really, did it explode, or are we just talking about like thousands of Sentinel ships departing from the mothership or something? Like it's just like an Independence Day,
Yeah.
and this is horrible invasion that's coming. And generals are telling us that Christmas isn't coming this year because 3-eye Atlas is instead. Plus the name 3-eye, like I am, I will, I create, this sort of trinity of eyes that is. I mean, it's a very strange name that they're kind of suggesting for whatever sort of first contact. It feels like they're trying to set us up for a first contact. First contract. That would be a better movie. But it's like it's probably a psyop. I'm not saying it's not, but even if it is a psyop, the psyop is probably first contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
How
the
far?
closer
And
we
they're saying it's
get
like in the next
to,
couple of weeks. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
my guess is that the closer we get to the Epstein files being released, the closer they get to pulling the trigger on Bluebeam and all associated sort
Totally.
of entertainment phenomenon. That's been
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
been
like-
just waiting for the other shoe to drop,
I'm more
Because
interested
even
to
if
see.
it-
Canceling Christmas, of course.
if it is real and they're actually coming, and then they simultaneously do a fake invasion, it's like, how are you gonna fucking know? It's like the two people in the suit that's like, no, I'm your real friend, and it's like, hey, you don't know which one to shoot. Fuck.
Mhm.
I mean, right? But the other thing about like we've moved so far away from a religious society that people aren't thinking about like angels and demons anymore. they're thinking about this. You know, an extraterrestrial is so ambiguous; it could be good or it could be bad, and people are a lot more open-minded and like curious and want to talk to aliens. They're all like excited to talk to this, you know, demonic force, probably. Which should just be, it could be nothing. It could be just like people pretending to be aliens, or it could be us from the future, right? That's the one I always go with. I think
Yeah.
there's probably
I think either
super
way,
soldiers that are interacting with us from the other timeline.
we got to tax them.
Sure.
You know, if they want to spend time in our dimension or in our timeline, they gotta pay the toll.
That's the first contract right there.
That's the first
Yeah,
contract.
it's the first contract. You guys want to fucking visit? You got to pay up. Pay in space cash, whatever the fuck you got. Like,
It's probably
us
the
a
other way
good-
around, though, right? Like they're gonna tax us. They're
Yeah.
gonna use us to mine for gold.
unless they are us from the future, then we could always threaten them. It's like, yo, we'll just kill ourselves right now if you don't fucking behave, and then you guys won't even exist.
I feel like that's the real play. You know, is do you stop the civilization from progressing any
It's
further?
like Sean Connor steps out.
Yeah.
The
Like,
gun
that's
to-
why
it's
they
like,
go.
bro.
That's why they go
I've seen
around
this
to the
thing all
nuclear
over TV,
facilities
but
and
that's
turn them off.
So
That's
this
in
is so they can't
that
get
is
the
in
gun to
Terminator
your head.
3, right? Like he puts a gun to his own head, and he's like, "Do what I say, or I'll do it." You know, I'll kill myself, and then they end up going with whatever he says because of that.
Oh, yeah, there was,
We might be
Looper.
actually at some sort of a like you know, the Chinese believe in sort of like this family ancestor worship thing, so it kind of fits in like that culture that's being built around this idea of worshiping your ancestors and taking care of your children. That does put you on kind of a timeline religion where you're
Yeah. I was saying on a spiritual level, like I feel like if there's any responsibility that universally all humans can say they have, it's probably to fix all those like family curses or generational curses, family traumas. Because like if you're gonna use these lines of incarnation along a family line, it's like a transit system. The least you could do is try to clear up some of the potholes, you know, and fix some of the cracks in the road. That's all it is. You don't have to do all of it, but like, you know, do your little bit in your little bloodline communal service, right?
Yeah, it's like your guardian angel is actually your like great grandchild astral projecting.
Honoring you from like
Yeah.
beyond your grave. Yeah.
Probably.
well, you know, I think that miracles could then also be described the same way, right? Like, so if someone wants to make their family line better off, then they go back in time and they protect certain family members, or they help the family member. That could
Like
be a thing
Mulan?
that happens. And in that respect, everyone's already related anyway, so it could be just a slight deviation if it's one family member that is your ancestor versus another family member. You know, like slightly upgrades your genetics because you have like a list of all of the genome sequences that made you possible. So you go back to that generation and you swap one out and then make sure that another one happens. That's something we were talking about yesterday with Noel's wife in physics, is this idea of how, and even his son, like if you took a Lego castle and you broke it apart and put it back together, is it the same Lego castle? And how close do you have to get it for it to be the same Lego castle? It's made of the same Legos. So if you rearrange it, I mean, that could be like a moment, right? Like you could rebuild that moment exactly the way a moment was in the past with the same material that made up that moment. Or are you just going back to that moment in a
There was,
non-linear way?
I think there was this movie, because apparently the secret is in DNA, and it was called the Demons Conspiracy or the Devil Conspiracy or something, where the Satanists, with all their resources in the modern age, were able to create this technology where they could bring people back. Like they could take the entire neural experiences with all the life inflection points and that neural buildup and just put it into a new baby. So you could like create another Mozart by just mapping out all the neural patterns, kind of like reincarnation, I guess, or resurrection. So apparently it's like all that information is hidden in like the whole, like your genetic system inside of you.
That comes up a lot, right? That's in Artificial Intelligence, Spielberg's movie, that they have all the
Yeah.
information from the DNA of the mother's hair. So they're able to recreate that exact moment.
Technically, that fucking video game series, Assassin's Creed, did the same thing. They had this modern guy go back into his family line, live through the experiences, come back with all the skills because it was already there, latent.
Yeah, and Quantum Leap's about this as well. So you can
Yeah.
kind of quantum leap anywhere that you're entangled to with your DNA.
Yeah, my son just finished the Odyssey one, the Greek one, and it's weird because the guy ends up like living into the modern age. I don't know if you guys played that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a grander this is why I think Ubisoft is so sus, because they're like some of it's so on point, but some of it's just blatant exploitation. But like the idea of like a prehistoric, super advanced civilization that left like hints of like their technology and their power, and secret societies throughout history have been in control of different pieces of it. And for them, it's the Templars and the Assassins, and the Assassins are the good guys, Templars are the bad guys. But in real life, it might be the Templars were the good guys and the Assassins were the bad guys.
Well, isn't the whole Assassin's Creed symbol looks like the compass and square of
the Masonics? Yeah,
totally.
it's very sus. Ubisoft is very sus. I think they're a psyop.
Could be.
Well, I mean, the Knights Templar still exist, right? There's like you can go down to downtown Oakland and there's like a Knights of Malta door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they still run stuff. My great grandfather was a Knight of Malta.
What's the Knights of Columbus?
Knights of Columbus are a Catholic organization that sort of exists as an antithesis to the Freemasons, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know how close the Knights of Columbus are to the Freemasons because they're not Protestant, but they're both connected to the Jesuits, which is interesting. So I think what it was that the Jesuits, when they were in the they were excommunicated from the Catholic Church, and they were the Jesuit suppression period. Jesuit suppression. Whole article right here. Oh, there we go. The suppression of the Society of Jesus, which was, for at least 50 years, but we don't know exactly how long. While they were suppressed in the Catholic Church, they tried to kill King John of Portugal, and then King John went against them. Then France, Naples, Sicily, Malta, Parma, Spanish Empire, Austria, Hungary, even Italy eventually, they all decided to expel the Jesuits and have a war in Paraguay to kill as many Jesuits as possible. So they went into hiding. So they needed a group that they could control, because they couldn't use the Catholic churches anymore. So they went and found another organization that existed, which was a men's society, the fraternity, the Masons, and they started financing them and putting weird pentagrams in the back rooms of their temples, right? They started building the temples. That's really when Freemasons become kind of a Rosicrucian organization. And they take over the world. But by the time that the Jesuits are back in power at the beginning of the 19th century, the Freemasons, the hysteria begins, right? Where people start freaking out about Freemasons, and the Jesuits start taking power again. And so they create alternative to the Freemason societies that are acceptable to the Catholic Church. But it's literally a point of the Freemasons is you couldn't be a Catholic, which works perfectly for when the Jesuits weren't allowed to be Catholics either, right? But now they run both, it seems like. And so the Knights of Columbus are an organization that continues on. They do the same thing. They have a fraternity. They're members of the Catholic Church. They fight to make the world a better place, they think, or there might be associations with orphanages as well. There's a lot of these weird stories. I mean, obviously the Catholic Church has got the same, any accusations that we're making about Epstein, these are like historic accusations about the Catholic Church in terms of human trafficking to orphans and children and like assault, and abuse, right? Do you see the Knights of Columbus a lot in Kentucky or something?
No, I remember that there used to be this after hours in like Silver Lake, Echo Park area of Los Angeles that was in a Knights of Columbus building. So that's why the cops never came by and messed with it, because it had some sort of, there was some legal gray area loophole because of who owned the building and how it was coded, because of what type of organization the Knights of Columbus is. I mean, it was like an after hours, so it was basically a front for a bunch of other stuff too. But yeah, no, I just always I knew that it was related to Freemasonry somehow. I just wasn't sure exactly which.
Old World Micmac says Knights Templars followed the arrival in North America around 1398, a century before Columbus, and made contact with the Micmac people. Yeah, and then I think a century before that is like the Vikings, like the Leif Eriksons, maybe like 2 centuries even before that. So there's already, the Sinclair family. And the Sinclair family are supposed to be the descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, the babies in the offshoot. I think there's something there for sure. What are you going to say? Sorry.
No, the Knights of Columbus, they're all over Thunder Bay. So
yeah,
about that. Yeah.
So that's another thing, is that when the Jesuits were kicked out of places they were still in Canada. That was a major thing during the Jesuit suppression. They were not kicked out of parts of China, and they weren't kicked out of parts of Canada. But they were even like, you know,
Chinese
all
love the
Christianity
Jesuit.
and all white people were kicked out of Japan during that period as well. Japan was like super against the Jesuits taking over, and the Jesuits were constantly trying to take over every country in the world at that time. They had good power in Canada.
It's for everyone.
Now that you mention it, there's a lot of Freemasons in Louisville. There are two huge Shriner properties. One of them is an orphanage / hospital, and it is suspiciously close to to Butchertown, the meat and the meat processing. they process pigs there specifically.
Good cover.
Yeah, no, I know, right? It's
Yeah.
just curious, very curious.
Well, Canada's French, right? So
Partially.
you know, the French are the ones who, you know, gave the Statue of Liberty, supposedly, you know, the grand.
The Freemasons, yeah.
Right. Well, I was reading the Vicomte of Magellan, which is at the end of the Three Musketeers books. And there's all like Aramis becomes like the Jesuit Inspector General, and then he's against Colbert. Colbert's like the new finance minister of King Louis XIV, and he's pushing out Fouquet, Mr. Fouquet, who apparently so it looks like the Jesuits are fighting against some kind of force, because Colbert is definitely persecuting Aramis, and Aramis is trying to replace King Louis XIV with a twin of Louis XIV, who's the man in the Iron Mask. It's weird because Dumas, like one of the original conspiracy writers, like a lot of the stuff that he writes is about how like the Jesuits are manipulating the court of France.
Yeah, like Count of Monte Cristo, the Three Musketeers, the Man in the Iron Mask. They're all about like manipulations to take over royal families in order to have like a secret order run the world, right?
Well, Mazarin is supposedly the lover. Cardinal Mazarin is supposedly the lover of Queen Anne of Austria, right? And then so Louis XIV is probably not the son of Louis XIII, because like she can't get pregnant for like, I don't know, like 13 years or something like that. And then all of a sudden she gets pregnant at the end of Louis XIV's life. And then they have twins, you know. So at least Dumas is saying that Cardinal Mazarin is actually the father of Louis XIV.
Wow.
And then he's a cardinal from he's Italian. They keep saying call him the Italian. That's why nobody likes him, because he's at the court of France manipulating everything.
Yeah, I wonder how many like royal families had their genes, you know, taken over by some sort of like secret fraternity. You know, these doctors come in and, you know, they make sure also to give Louis XIII syphilis and these diseases. Like all these royals are like, hey, eat horrible food. Go ahead, you know, like have hookers. Let's bring in some hookers for him. And they're bringing in like the worst things that they can.
It's like Grand Theft Auto in the court.
Yeah. Just kind of destroying these royals so they can put themselves in power, right?
Who else is victims, bro?
That was a big thing with Catherine the Great, was that, you know, her baby was Piotr was taken from her as a baby as soon as he was born, and she wasn't allowed to touch him. And then a midwife fed the baby, a wet nurse, and they had like Freemason, Livonian Confederates as his like teachers, his private educators. So he was completely separated from his mother and from his royal duty from the family as a Masonic duty, right? And this was the beginning of installing a Masonic government in Russia, right?
Who is that?
Catherine the Great's son, Piotr.
Read about Piotr.
Piotr, let me see if I can find it. Catherine Great. Spelled that really funny there. Catherine the Great. And then Peter. There we go. Peter the third was her husband, and then Fyodoric is her husband, and then Paul the first, I think, is her son. Is that the right one? Yeah, and he was this sort of. So Paul was the one who was super weak essentially, and was controlled by the Livonian Confederacy, and the Livonian Confederacy went off to create the Confederacy of Switzerland, right? And that's what Switzerland is to this day, which is, you know, I think we all know kind of an important place because they can avoid all the wars and yet pay for all the wars, and they run all the banks, but they're like neutral during kind of the war.
Russian-Swiss connection.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a Russian-French
There's
connection.
like a whole Russian hill in San Francisco.
Yeah, but that's also because of the hold on. This is like old Livonia right here, the Livonian Crusade up here in Sol in Lithuania, right? Estonia, this whole region here. This was the Livonian principality of the Holy Roman Empire, and then became the Confederacy, and eventually became Switzerland. But the Russian hill is, I think, also associated with the original Russian colonies of California, and then re-supplemented during the Soviet Union bringing as many Soviets as they could to America, and then particularly after the fall of the Soviet Union, importing to San Bruno and everything all of the Soviet scientists they could, because they said if we don't, then like, you know, other countries will pay, you know, Israel or Afghanistan or wherever.
It's crazy how many like Russian scientists I've had as patients.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always some like nuclear physicist, and you're just like,
Yeah,
how many of these guys are there?
My liver's disintegrating.
was educated. That's the thing they don't explain. They're always telling you how bad the Soviet Union was, but Stalin took universally all the peasants and pushed them through, the ones who survived, right? Pushed them through really intense education. Stalinite education made them all rocket scientists, physicists, chemists,
Judo
you have all these
experts.
people. Yeah, but then you've got like taxi drivers who are drunk in the street that are just, you ask them,
They're nuclear physicists.
yeah, I ask them for directions sometimes and then ask them what they did with their life. And they're like, I was a general, an architect, an engineer, a chemist, a physicist, a nuclear scientist. And now I'm just an alcoholic who sunbathes all day because there's nothing to do here. Right. That's what it's like in so many.
Like John Rambo on steroids. He's like, I used to be something, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. An intellectual Rambo. And that's so much of the former Yugoslavian and Soviet republics, all these socialist countries, because they overeducated their people and then didn't have the industry to make it work, which, you know, America is built on so much wealth, but it's really built on debt, because the more accumulated debt that exists, the more money it looks like your country has, which is why China and Russia had to play this game so they could produce as much debt as we can produce so they can own debt, right? Because debt is slavery, because then people have to pay off these debts because the state is the legitimate source of violence, the monopoly of violence that can force you to pay your debts.
Well, what do you think about China's new plan to have a bunch of like gold reserve, like a Silk Road of like little gold vaults that they can move gold around like really fast too?
I think that if you actually could get gold from, you know, an asteroid, whatever that really means, then that's like when Sir Francis Drake went to the Western Hemisphere and discovered twice or three times as much gold as Eurasia had ever seen. And then gold became worth less. Inflation happened.
Exactly. Like, didn't Spain go bankrupt like 6 times because they had like so much silver it couldn't like it started spending like crazy, and then everybody had silver and nobody cared about it.
Right. Silver went down, gold went down even, and then eventually copper was more valuable than silver and gold for a little while. Aluminum for a while was the most valuable one because it was really difficult to procure until they used electrolysis. Napoleon would serve royals and important dignitaries on aluminum trays because it was so hard to get aluminum, you know?
Oh my god. Like aluminum is like the stool of metal now.
Yeah,
it's like shit.
But that's what's going to happen to. We were talking about this about diamonds, right? Well, like diamonds are just an arrangement of carbon. There's not a big difference between a diamond and a pencil.
And a lab-grown diamond.
If you grow your own diamonds. So if you think about it, carbon is cheaper than oil, right? Like if you burn stuff to make carbon, it's cheaper than oil. So if you were to arrange carbon into diamond synthetically, make your self-grown diamond with zero entropy, then diamond would be cheaper than plastic because oil makes plastic, but you need oil to do it. So the future might be that you have, you know, diamond cutlery, diamond plates, diamond cups at your Pizza Hut, right? Instead of plastic cups, because oil would be so valuable and diamond is just whatever. It's just carbon. That's what I think that's inevitably going to happen, that we're going to start seeing better stoichiometry of carbon so that there's no reason to use plastics. Like
graphene?
Yeah, like graphene, but also, so graphene is 1 atom thick. So the thing about diamonds, it's super dense. It's the most dense store. Let me show you like a diamond carbon structure. So this is a diamond carbon structure right here. Try to pull that up for you versus graphene structure. Okay, so graphene looks like a chain link fence, right? So this is a really strong bond, and it's really, you know, the least amount of carbon you have to use in the end game. If you can use this to reinforce materials like plastic, you'll have super strong plastics. But if you play the long game, it makes way more sense just to arrange carbon into diamond directly, and then you would have diamond cutlery, diamond plates, diamond pencil scratching. Here's a diamond net right here as well. This is the way diamond, and so all you
diamond's just like a 3D graphene.
Sort of 3D. It depends what you mean by that, because also carbon
tubing. Yeah, I was just looking at carbon nanotubing, cylindrical structures. Basically, you roll this shit up.
Really you could arguably say this is a 3D graphene. Yeah, or then you could talk about fullerenes, like a Buckminster fullerene is these, you know, these nets of C60, right? And so this is a structure very similar. This is maybe another way you could say is a 360 graphene, right? So you've got 3D graphene, regular graphene, C60, 360 graphene, and then you've got diamond, when diamond is the most the most ordered and structured carbon possible. So, I mean, actually, I think theoretically they just invented a new structure of carbon someone discovered with AI that's actually even better than diamond.
Carbon
and might
nanotubing
be easier
and graphene
to use. But part of the value is it has this sp2, sp3 orbital. So it propels and it attracts electrons in a certain way, which makes it really useful for conductivity and for, you know, the electricity can be used to destroy things. Atoms, lol. So wait, we don't believe in space, but we don't believe in atoms either. You're like not micro or macro. I don't get it. Why are, of all things not to believe in, atoms? What's wrong with believing in atoms?
I mean, are we more like? Oh wait, we are talking about atoms.
Well, go ahead. What were you think we were talking about?
No, I was gonna say molecules, but it's more like atoms.
True, but like it's all about structure. That's all it really comes down to.
He's challenging the periodic table at Berkeley.
Yeah, what's their challenge?
I couldn't understand it, to be frank. But he's saying that you don't have to analyze the elements in this way. There's some other way. It's not just rearranging like a new. It was like completely questioning the whole system.
I mean, the idea of mass is really the issue. I mean, so when we're talking about different molecules, we're just talking about different mass. So the subtleties of how many electrons, but there are certain qualities to certain shapes. So for instance, carbon's interesting because it's 6 and it's highly social for electrons. It'll constantly try to bond with things. Hydrogen similarly doesn't like to be alone. It'll try to bond with things. And if you put certain things together, like in a vacuum, if you put two metals together, the same metal, like let's say you have two pieces of iron particles, if they touch each other, they're going to instantly bond without any heat, without any welding. They'll just become one perfect bond of metal.
They're very friendly.
Yeah. So there's something about atoms that I think exists. Someone says they don't believe in atoms. I don't know. I mean, that's, dude, the YouTube conspiracy runs deep. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I look at atoms though with like Raman spectroscopy, so I kind of think that I don't think that they're making that up. I think that might be a real one. You know.
I think we could split that shit open like a nut, and a bunch of fun stuff comes out.
Right. Okay. What about micro penis? So Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, Adolf Hitler, all these guys that like to seem to be like bummers, you know, they seem to all have like
Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about these itty bitty teeny weenies. I mean, is this just a Freudian thing, or is it legitimately real that there's like a group of micro penis psychopaths that run the world? And is this kind of like or do they just have like really enlarged clitorises because they're hermaphrodites that are taking progesterone?
Who came up with this? Like who came up with this idea that Trump and
well, it's always a witness. It's so always like they get some witness to say like I was molested by this person.
Trump, and he had this like really jacked, you know, dingling. Okay, I see.
Apparently has a mushroom cock.
That's true. I heard the mushroom tip thing. That's right. It was like Sega Genesis and Trump. Like, you know, like the 32X expansion. You know what I'm talking about?
If you know, you know.
No? I'll try to find the picture. It was this thing that you put. The 32X expansion for the Sega Genesis was the mushroom tip. You know, you
And
plug
that's
this.
Trump's penis right there. That's what if you needed
There
like a
it is.
mental image of
There
what
it
Trump's.
is.
That's what I
That's
think
a little
about when I
bigger,
think
but
about Trump's
you know.
phallus. I guess.
There you go.
Well, let's ask ChatGPT maybe like who witnessed and suggested Trump had micro penis. Let's look
I
it
don't know
up
if it
here.
was Stormy Daniels. I can't remember.
It looks
Because
a
like the
Sega
thing is, I
controller.
saw I saw this, and this is like, doesn't this kind of disprove? Look at this. Look at his ball swing here. Doesn't that kind of disprove the micro penis of the?
And of course, the
Hitler?
Royal Surf posted this.
I mean, doesn't that look? I'm just saying, like, doesn't that seem
That's I don't think that's his dangling or anything.
You
Really?
think he's got something in his pocket?
Yeah, he's got a Swiss Army knife or something in there.
I bet it's a Swiss Army knife, like a little screw tip, you know, it's like wine opener. It's like a duck. I don't know.
Maybe he's the star seed.
So Stormy Daniels said he has an unusual penis. It has a huge mushroom head like a toadstool. She compared it to the mushroom character in Mario Kart. She said it was smaller than average, but not freakishly small. Stephanie Grisham
benign.
said his penis was not small or toadstool shaped, so she debunks Stormy Daniels. Ilma Gore has drawn pictures of this, but there's no
remember that.
evidence necessarily other than these claims, right? But there are claims like that for Weinstein.
Maybe compared to the Austrian artist. But...
I mean, this is kind of uncomfortable. I don't know. Just watching this over and over again isn't a good thing to do for your mind, but
Yeah,
it makes you
fine.
wonder. It makes you wonder, right? Like we're just a show about wonder, the truly wonderful the mind of a child.
You should put that next to Obama's wife.
Yeah, true.
Then they still have both genders.
Michelle Obama bulge.
Oh,
Well, that's
no.
kind of my point, like because there's all these stories about hermaphrodites that run civilization, ancient civil. Where's the bulge?
Michelle Obama does not have a penis. Okay, like I just don't
Oh, but
believe
she
it.
might have an enlarged.
Wait,
You found it, or was it?
Where's she dancing? Right there with the white pants.
Mr. Macron.
Where's
Right
the?
there, it's in the middle, bro. The white
On
pants.
Ellen, she's dancing on Ellen.
Oh, right
there.
here.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and she like grabs that.
grabbing
Dude.
it, grab that thing. She's
Grabbing that dick. Grabbing
grabbing that
that
hog.
I mean, yeah. So Michelle Obama definitely not, but like the idea of androgynous
Brian Johnson to measure it.
history of hermaphrodites, elite rulers. There's totally a conspiracy about intersex people running society. I just saw a picture of Jesus with breasts from the Middle Ages. There's a whole thing about the Sister Sophia and intergender people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that flag, bro. I don't know. Like, what do you think about this idea? Like, is there an elite caste of society of hermaphrodites that run everything?
I forgot where I heard it, but supposedly these the reptilian overlords in politics and Hollywood like are known to have just crazy sexual appetites and large hogs. But I don't know, maybe that's bullshit. Who knows? But it would make more sense. These sexually
better if it's tiny, because then you're like not, you know what I mean? That's just you don't want it to be huge. You don't want the reptilians to have huge wieners.
Maybe.
It should
I
be
don't
like,
know.
I mean, especially because they're
Depends if
reptilians.
It's a shore or a grower, right?
I don't want to be all about that, but like, have you ever seen a duck's phallus? You're talking about that screw tip on the Swiss Army knife, man. And I'm like, I bet you that's probably because they're reptilians. Ducks are reptiles. Avians are reptiles.
Well, if they're
dinosaurs.
shapeshifters, like a
Dude,
shapeshifter,
that's a
wouldn't they?
menacing duck. That's a scary. That's an intense fighting duck right there. That's kind of.
Hell yeah.
Have you ever seen the Donald Duck face flipped upside down, looking like Donald Trump? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, for sure. Let me pull that up here. Hold on.
Simulation, baby. We live in a simulation.
None of these are right. These aren't the right ones.
Yeah.
Donald Duck upside down. Oh, there it is. We found it right there.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
There.
There we go. Oh yeah, I see it now. Once you see it, you
Look at
can't
it
unsee
properly.
it. Yeah.
Once you see it, you're good. Yeah. Except for the only thing that's off is that it looks like he has like a goatee.
Where was the other one that I thought was good was the Obama logo upside down.
Nice.
That one actually gets me more. There's more gestalt to this.
That one's pretty good.
Oh man. This is how you know you're fried. You know, like from looking at
Yeah.
too much.
What's up with the O though?
What's up with the O?
Because that's his mouth, maybe, or maybe
It's just his head.
just his head. You know?
His eyes covered up, maybe. I
Oddly
don't know.
shaped head.
Yeah, he's got a big head.
It's a mushroom.
I don't know. What do you think? Okay, so like I guess we lost Vega, but I was gonna ask him this, but maybe you guys have thoughts on it. It's like, so Trump was like, we're gonna someday release those Epstein files, and then we're not gonna release the Epstein files, and there are no Epstein files, and then this week it's all about there are Epstein files. He's like, we better release those Epstein files. So I mean, what do you think's going on? Are they just like writing new ones with ChatGPT right now? Are there? I mean, did he really blow Bubba? Like, what do you think's going on with this the release of the Epstein files thing?
I mean, all I know is like as far as Donald Trump blowing Bubba, I mean, I've listened to enough, at least even Think Tank talks about this all the time, how secret societies that presidents were actively engaged in also engaged in some pretty degenerate activities, which is all part of the whole blackmail leverage kind of dynamic where if you want to get into power, you're going to have to like play ball in a certain sense. Like you got to have some kind of fail system. And what better fail safe is there than just pictures of you blowing like some dude in the office, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
I think you posted something about that, right? What was your post recently? It was like
that was pretty inflammatory.
it was good. It was like I can't believe they got the Democrats to make fun of Trump for being gay. Something like
Yeah,
that.
pretty much.
nice. I love it.
Yeah, because that's what I see all the time. I'm seeing like all these people who I've known to be like actively liberal and actively progressive now saying like, haha, Donald Trump is gay. I'm like, so
What?
like,
And
like,
like to be
Infant syndrome,
anti-Semitic,
man.
which is pretty amazing. We got Democrats that hate Jews, and that's
hate
pretty
gay
crazy.
people.
Like that's pretty impressive, actually, that they could turn them that fast.
yeah.
TDS, it's real, man. It's real.
Well, I'm not going to be tricked into it. I'm not. Donald Trump being gay is not going to make me homophobic, you know. Like, and
Right.
I don't know. I'm not even anti-Semitic. I could be anti-Israel, but I don't think like I'm going to go out and go to war with every Jewish person I see over it, you know.
Being an Israel skeptic's not the same as being anti-Israel. I feel like trying to make Israel into a better country is the goal, right? If you want to make America a better country, you have to criticize America's issues. So with Israel, it should be the same way. If you think Israel could be a great country, then you have to like call out anything that you think is not great going on, right? And maybe that's a big part of it is replacing the government of multiple, like, is Palestine Hamas, is Israel Mossad, is Russia Putin, is the United States Obama or Trump, or like the CIA. Like all these things are parts of it that you can kind of maybe say it's time to be accountable about, right?
Well, I mean, liberals like flipping on like that's just that example. That to me tells me they're not really driven by trying to make things better. They're just driven by at this point somewhere they lost the plot and they're like, I just hate the enemy. And if hating the enemy, the right enemy means I have to hate gay, like someone for doing a gay thing,
And so be it.
then so be it. If it means I have to start like hating on people who are suffering as Jews just to criticize Israel, so be it. Because at that point, you're not really trying to make shit better. You're past that point. You're like, nah, I just want to see them fucking burn. And I'm like, dude, that's like bad.
Islam, isn't that anti-Semitic?
Yeah, that's true too.
You could be
Yeah, Ishmaelites, right?
with just as much danger.
Yeah, I feel like if you look at, there were a lot of really secular Islamic countries in the 70s, and they were all shut down by the CIA. And so now all around Israel, there's these really chaotic, weak, hyper religious, insane people, these like Muslim zealot Sharians that are really easy to control. And then it's easier, it makes the oil cheaper. And so it's making it easier for Israel to eventually take over that region, because they'll eventually just be in charge of these inevitably collapsing Muslim countries. Whereas there's Saudi Arabia is becoming more and more secular, and it still has its own values and everything. But
haven't they like exported their secularism to like the UAE or something?
Yeah, for sure. And
They got their like island of secular paradise or whatever.
I mean, they all are. They're building every prince is building its own little island, city, state, and country, and they have order to an extent. But they also have, like Beastland, Mr. Beast building his.
Oh my God!
He built a amusement park in Saudi Arabia, or I don't think he did. I think slaves did, but still, they exist now.
Oh my God.
Beastland, right?
Power
Mm.
slave.
What are your thoughts on that, Exertus? Before I go, before I gotta get going.
Oh,
soon.
that's right. Yeah, we got to get Jordan out of here. He's got stuff to do.
Tell me, tell me your thoughts on that though before I bounce.
I think that it's in the Bible and in the Quran even that like the beast would build his place in his temple in the Holy Land. So it's kind of interesting because it kind of fits that sort of prophecy mystique. And the beast is on one hand, I love Jimmy Donaldson. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, he's like he does miracles. He literally is curing the blind and performing miracles like the beast is supposed to do in Revelation. So if you were going to try to bring forth Revelation, wouldn't you want to play whatever role is possible? Like if you could play the beast, wouldn't you? If you thought that the Revelation was going to bring God back to earth. So it's like a job to do. You know, I think that maybe that's part of his goal.
And what do you feel about Mr. Beast in general? Like, is he?
I like Mr. Beast.
Or...
I like him. I like that he's doing miracles. I think that's actually an admirable thing to do. If you're going to do something, you should do miracles. If you can cure people of diseases and blindness and hunger, and that's what you're doing, that's better than not doing that, right?
How is he curing people though? Is he just throwing money at it?
Yeah, he's throwing, well, sort of. He's throwing infrastructure at it. So, for instance, he finds people that could be cured of being blind if they had surgeries, and he's bringing doctors and having them do tons of cornea surgeries and curing 10,000 people so they can see again. Same thing with people who need cochlear implants. But he's also doing other things like he has a channel called Beast Philanthropy where he went to Africa where people are being exploited all the time. And he built this preserve, and he found out in Europe how the elite do it is they get carbon tax credits. So he built a company and put the board of the company and all of the stockholder owners, the entire group of these tribes, everyone in the tribe owns a share of this thing, and then they get paid from the carbon credits that the elite have been using to pay themselves, right? Because they set it up, the governments will pay them.
That sounds base as hell.
It's the thing. It's like, it's actually super base. And he just walks away from it, checks in to make sure everything's cool some of the time. But like, he's saving people who like a month before he showed up or with the last few years, their fathers are dying in floods trying to protect like the endangered species that the royal family are hunting in those areas that they're making. And he's taking away their opportunity to do that and saving not just the animals, the endangered animals, but also like the women and children in those areas. It's like, it's hard not to say that that's like a net positive, right? And you know, at the same time, he's bringing like light to it. So because he's so famous, it's not like he's getting more famous by doing that, because kids don't care. Like kids are happy to watch, you know, Mr. Beast give $1,000 to a guy in the street, which is also interesting that he got famous by emptying his cup. He's filling his cup by emptying his cup. He's constantly helping people. But
you see
because there's so many eyes on him, he's got so many eyes on him. He's like, well, then watch me help people, or watch this video where people are being helped and figure out how you can help people. It's like, well, how is that not the best thing that we're supposed to do? However, yeah, we're hinting at manufactured Armageddon, totally, because if you're an elite person in your board, you're going to want to you're going to finance and produce a prophecy, right? You find a prophecy that you could make happen, and then you set it up.
Yeah, I mean,
6-7.
I think we got to do it 6-7. I think we got to keep our eye on that guy, because I think there's something. I don't know what that guy's end game is. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if so far his end game is to make the world a better place.
Yeah, but I mean, how many Batman or Marvel villains start off that way too? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you should always be skeptical of everybody. I think that's kind of what I'm saying about Israel, right? Like you can love Israel and be skeptical of it to make it the best thing you can. And Jimmy Donaldson's the same way. But I feel like
his real name?
Yeah, Jimmy Donaldson, James Donaldson, like Donald Duck or Donald Trump.
Doesn't sound fake at all.
Son of Donald. Son of Donald. The beast is the son of Donald. Oh, it's so good. There's so much there.
I'm saying, dog. I'm saying, watch your ass. Watch your ass.
I mean, like he has more followers, like religious, like cults have followers. He has more followers than to his Temple of Beast than there are citizens in the United States. You know what I mean? Like over 300 million.
Yeah, like there's something up with
But honestly, that's when they started going hard on him. As soon as they realized he was more powerful than YouTube or Google or America, then they started trying to like shadow ban him. Before that, you log into any you'd open up YouTube on any device and he'd be the top video. You didn't have to log in. It would
I
just be
feel
like
like-
an anonymous guest account on YouTube, Mr. Beast. After he got that big and
Yeah,
he started saying he could become president, they started like bringing him down. So that means that the elite are kind of just like trying to keep him down as well. You know?
I don't know. I would trust Mr. Beast more if he was like, I just don't even want to change the world. Really, I just want to fuck off and do my own thing. You know?
Yeah, I know you
what's his
like
name did that.
Asmongold better than Mr. Beast. Obviously,
I don't like Asmongold. I think because Asmongold is like that too. He just wants more, and I just kind of sussed out at this point, like of anyone
What
who
does he
wants
want
to quote
more of?
unquote
He like literally
change the
lives in
world.
his dead mom's house and doesn't like go out
That's
except for to
part
buy,
of his
like,
that
Dr.
is
Pepper.
part of his shtick, though. To
Yeah,
be fair,
for sure. It's
I think he's angling for more followers. Otherwise,
PewDiePie.
He just dipped out and moved to Japan.
I love PewDiePie. PewDiePie is my favorite for sure.
yeah,
Like,
didn't he
offended
do
a bunch
that?
of
Didn't he just
people, and now he's just raising his kids, you know?
yeah?
He's just like, oh, look at my beautiful family.
Haha, you can't have this. This isn't for
I
sale.
have time for my kids.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was always my policy with like making things better was never to like change the world. More so, I'm just going to change myself to try to like operate better in the world. Because when you try to constantly change the world like that, you're always going to step on someone's shit. You know, like you're always going to mess with someone's will or mess with someone's plans. Whereas, you know, since I've been focusing more on changing myself instead for a situation, it's like just things work out better that way. You know.
Dude, why? And people who claim Mr. Beast is psycho, I'm curious why. I mean, I think he's a little autistic, but
yeah,
he's a
he's
bit of a-
definitely on the spectrum or something. I've
yeah,
seen
like
a lot of
he
people.
did chant he said the name of Logan Paul. He said Logan Paul a million times one time in a video. That was what made him famous. That
A
was the
million
original thing.
times.
He just wanted to be so famous as a kid. He like read the entire encyclopedia, the entire dictionary through
Mhm.
on a video, except for the N-word. He's like, you got me. And then he thought you got me there. And then he just skipped the N-word. And then he just read the rest, every word in the dictionary besides the N-word.
Is it in the dictionary?
Like apparently in the one he had, he got like, I don't know. Maybe he just made that joke. Who knows?
We're allowed to
But like
print
he
it.
passed all the tests of our society. You know, the secular society like allowed him to exist. And he constantly like gave away money. That was the thing. He'd get like,
Yeah, I was watching him back in the beginning when he just like we'd be like at like a college, he'd be like, "Here's $100, like in a cup. Oh, here, have it." And then he's like, "$100. Don't do anything. Here's $100.
yeah,
I made you do something, but I didn't make her do anything. Don't be envious. Here's $100."
right. Which is what Jesus did, which is crazy. I mean, and so like either you're being like Jesus is evil.
But don't you think anybody like getting big that fast, it'll just like mess up their head anyway?
Sure, but like he had planned to be. He's like, all I know is I want to be a famous YouTuber. So that's all he focused on, and so it happened at a certain point because all he did was every day focus on that. That's all he cared about doing.
He
He
manifested.
didn't care about what he was doing, as long as it worked. So he was like, like
Gave me the system.
invoking the name of Logan Paul a million times. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Or whatever it was. Not a million.
That's just I think that's just stupid too. Like, I don't know. That's a whole other story. Anyways, I gotta bounce, boys. It's been great seeing you guys. Noel, it's a pleasure to meet you. Xerxes, I will talk to you soon. Chris.
Yeah,
talk to
Jordan,
you
we look forward to your next video. I'll hopefully pop on there and like, hey, everybody, if you haven't already watched it, watch his Paranoid American conversation. It's on this channel. It's also on the Divulgence podcast. Make sure you go to the Divulgence podcast. Let me see if I can get to your link right here really quickly.
Part 2 of the Occult Disney episodes I did with Paranoid American. Tune in Thursday. I have Adam Swart coming on. He's the founder and CEO of Crowds on Demand. So his business is literally to pay people to protest. So I'm really interested to see for this conversation because I mean that just seems crazy, right? So it'll be interesting to see where that conversation goes and what I can get from him. And then Saturday morning, tune in. I'm producing the Sam Newsman special. We got a 3-hour special.
Nice.
And at 2 p.m. on Saturday, I got William Ramsey. We are dissecting and decoding the movie Fight Club. And then I got an episode Sunday and Monday and Wednesday. So we're picking it back up. Things are getting pretty hot and heavy. So make sure to follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat, in the audience. And thanks again, Exertus, for having me. And it's great to see everyone. We'll see you all very soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll keep these hours at a reasonable schedule now, so that like we'll see Jordan way more. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more episodes together, bro. Like
Yeah, man.
love your work, and yeah, everybody make sure you're subscribed to Divulgence Podcast.
Appreciate it,
I'm
man.
ready to
Okay,
see it fun.
talk soon,
Good.
Exertus. Take care, guys.
Peace,
Peace.
bro. Okay, one more thing I wanted to talk about today was Deuteronomists and heretics and Sadducee, kind of. I don't know. This was just kind of a troll thing that happened the other day. And let me see if I can find it. If I go to my notifications here, I think it's here. So
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
yeah. So Blair White, who I met through Timcast, is a MAGA trans, right? They transitioned in from being a transgendered like leftist into being a right wing trans. And I've actually, ironically, I know like multiple MAGA trannies, people that are transgendered but love MAGA, right? We have a pretty famous friend here, Nina, who watches the show, is also a MAGA tranny, and also Drake was one.
MAGA
Draken
tranny.
was one. Draken's one other one. I mean, I'm trying to remember the names of them all, but there's so many. It's actually interesting to me because they're a lot of gay people and queer community people. They don't really like the corporate pride thing anyway, so they got into MAGA, and the MAGA people used to be kind of down because so many of the MAGA people were just people that left the left. You know, you had like Bernie bros that became MAGA supporters. You had Asian kids who were, hey, kind of conservative a lot of the time, or like Latino business owners and everything. So MAGA used to be this thing that was the disenfranchised for a minute there. But then it went back to what Republicans have always been, which is the Christian right. And the Christian right is neither right nor Christian. And they seem to control the movement as much as they can. And they're kind of this woke fascist thing, right? Which is, a lot of people hate that term that Lindsay uses, but it's really true. Is woke fascism is movement. So anywho, Blair White says, yes, I'm trans. Yes, I'm Christian. This is my faith journey. And I got friends even who are freaking out. They're like, you cannot be trans and be Christian. And he is not my, like anyone gives it, like this person cares whether you misgender them or what, engender them however you like. Why would they care? They're not like the psychotic transgendered people that do care about their gender.
Yeah, like, we're gonna make your kids trans. It's like, no, they're just kind of propping
because
themselves up as a
how
hot
is
lady
making
boy.
your kids trans any different than making your kids Deuteronomist Christian right? I mean, it's just the same sick fetishism.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So I think the point is, like, even you're allowed
surgery on your genitals, right?
Yeah,
they circumcise, like they're doing the same stuff. That's the thing. They won't admit it, but they're just as bad as any of the people that want to transgender kids and the people that want to circumcise kids are the same
people.
thing.
Yeah. Okay, so
right.
I think what you're saying is, like, even as like a Christian, you could heavily disagree with their acts and what they're doing, but it's important to not like actively like wish them harm and to hate them, because especially if they're not harming anyone and only themselves, what you should really do, I guess, is like feel bad. It's like just silently give silent sympathy, like, oh, this poor thing. That's about as far as you should go, instead of saying like these fucking people are not real Christians, and fuck it, let them, if you really believe that, like, leave them in their delusion. Then I mean, to you, they're just deluded then, so what threat is it? You shouldn't hate.
That's the thing.
Don't you think most of them, though, it's like a spectrum of these people? Like it's not like they're all one vociferous party of woke ideologues. I think most of them are trying to like hide out and like just be like identify as the gender that they think they are. So it's I think most of them are not as political as they're being made out to be. And here's the other thing, because I actually see a lot of them in San Francisco, is that most of them are actually female to male, and then they blend in a lot better than the male to female. And like, I think most of the surgeries are actually 99% of it is female to male,
at least in the West Coast. Yeah, but I think also because the feminine thing, like men are so into objectification of women, so they're so upset about this being not a woman. They're like, oh man, I wanted a woman that I could sexually objectify. And I don't think everyone's objectifying men the same way. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's a big reason why they're like, who cares if a woman's got a beard? Like, I'm not attracted to them. But if it's a woman and you're like attracted to her because she's transgendered, and you find out it's an imposter, and it plays with your whole masculine imagery, and you think, oh wow, am I am I gay or something like that. This is what really seems to upset
I think they're
me.
just false. I think that people don't realize is what juxtapositions happen in the mind are just like circumstantial. Like somebody like just imagines like what are gay people like, and then they go, "Am I gay?" It's like no, your brain is just juxtaposing potentials all the time. Like like what if I let my intrusive thoughts happen? What if I like punch the old lady? Or you know what I mean? Like Bill Burr talks about this. Like that doesn't mean that you are that. Like I think one of the beginning parts of spiritual life is just distrusting the mind and just being like the mind is just a collection of like sensual impressions, but to like identify with the mind is sort of like just maybe not discerning enough to like see what oneself actually is. And then it's like I think that's part of the problem is then because you're doing something that's taboo, is it like your whole identity is now taboo and therefore your whole identity is like circumscribed to some like sensual jurisdiction. So like your only identity is now like a specific niche like sensuality, So I feel like there's a lot of like victimhood that happens due to a lack of philosophy, and they're like not like observing their thoughts, like not observing like what is actually happening, and so it's weird. It's like I feel like in a way they're a victim of the corporate. Like corporate really used them to push some wild stuff. Like they're using them to push war. And I always would caution like, hey man, like yeah, you got Nike on your side when Nike's talking about victory, like you gotta go bomb, XYZ country, go to a new coup. So is it really them even pushing that ideology, or is it just like one or two people who are like freaking out? Like,
well,
what's
weird is it's like so many of these Christian right people. So like Jesus said, "Come as you are." I totally agree with you, Hellboy. But like so at some point, I think it was CCG Bryson, who I like, and we follow each other. And like I'm not trying to be like upset, but I said to him because he said if he died right now, he's going to hell. He's a child of Satan and not my family.
We can't get forgiven. What's that?
And I just
That's
think it's
hardcore,
ironic
bro.
because this dude's like whole thing is he's all about reading the Bible and like trying to challenge people with Bible verses, which I hate having to debate people on the Bible because I always win and it makes me feel like a bully. I'm not trying to bully this person, but I just know the Bible, you know what I mean? So I can point to like any number of verses that just completely would say not only is that not true, but if you're saying that you're a Sadducee, you're one of the things that Christ literally was fighting against and trying to tell us we all have to stop being like. So I just this is Christ's easiest shit test, and you failed it. And then I'm like, educate me on where Christ says to reject a believer on their journey unto repentance. Christ calls on us to despise the sin but love the sinner. I respect your passion for Scripture, but calling Blair a child of Satan while she's on a faith journey seems to fail Christ's call for love. In John 8:44, Jesus calls out unbelievers as belonging to the devil for rejecting truth. Luke 13:3, but by the way, truth would be what Christ says. So CCG is rejecting Christ's truth.
Can one of you mute the mic?
This stuff. So Luke 13:3 and Matthew 4:17 emphasizes repentance, but remember we despise sin, not the sinner. Christ dined with prostitutes and outcasts without demanding instant perfection. Jesus commands love from neighbors and one another, urging non-judgment. All of us separated from God by sin, yet grace alone allows for growth. And this started like crazy. People were so upset about this thing, but I'm pretty sure I beat and corrected every single one of them.
I met like a ton of trans people who are Christians. Actually, it was interesting. And I was like, "Oh, you're okay."
Well, I mean, in the more human
Christian.
context, like back to what Nal was saying before about your spiritual identity, like who and what you actually are. I mean, for me, I'd never really read the Bible, and I haven't really gone to church like the more spiritual, quote unquote, I got. But for me, it's even like the more spiritual I get, the more I look at profoundly evil people and still like not want to kill them. The more spiritual I get, the less I'm like, that person needs to be thrown in a fucking wood chipper. It's like, no, I don't feel that way anymore, And a lot of my friends still say that shit. And it could be for all sorts of things, whether they're a leftist, a pedophile, a Satanist or whatever. And like, they all deserve to be thrown in the wood chipper. I'm just like, I don't know. That doesn't really track for me. I mean, not even in a Christian context, but just in like I don't know, man. I don't think that's really going to help. Like, at least
Hear me
not
out.
for me.
If you burn people at the stake, then you can turn them into carbon and rearrange their carbon into diamonds.
Into graphene. And then you make them
Just
immortal.
saying. Don't do that. at
Well,
home.
I definitely don't. I'm definitely not trying to burn people in the stake. I mean, sure, we got to deal with evil people. I mean, and if you have to kill them, I guess. I mean, like if it means like life or death, what can't do
I don't
anything
think
about
it
that.
has to,
But
though. So,
where's
like,
the line then? Is it between circumstance and then like agency? Like
Survival?
a lot of the stuff, like the self-harm stuff, looks a little bit circumstantial. Like a person was raised a certain way, they're rebelling, and then they fall in. Some people treat them nice, and they're like, you know, whatever alternative sexuality, and then it's like a lot of stuff is like happenstance or karma. And then but like once you go harming other people with your agency, I feel like a lot of that is kind of premeditated, you know.
God created hermaphrodites. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of the irony. A lot of these people are super pissed about what God did. A lot of these people, if they met Jesus, would probably have to kill him again because they're just like, dude, you're getting in the way of our whole thing.
you're making me feel
You're
bad,
messing with
man.
Is that
Christianity.
like the have you ever met such a fucking Christian woman in your life? Like on South
Yeah,
Park?
South Park, dude. Like the Christians want to beat up Jesus. Like, dude, you're blowing it. Like you're blowing it, Jesus. That's really what. Yeah, most Christians, 99%, bro. I don't want to do math, but that's what it feels.
It's like Sharia Christianity, bro.
Oh, it's so weird. It's so crazy. I don't know.
What were you saying something the other day about how I think yesterday you were saying about some of the Christians were actually like Muslims who converted to Christianity and they brought Sharia with them into Christianity, and that's why you have this like heavy. What do you think? Is that too much? Is that saying too much?
I think it's exactly what it is. No, like, so a bunch of people were in the Crusades, and 500 years later, they're still like, they might have been converted back from Crusaders into Christian, or from Muslims into Christians, but they use Muslim talking points. Like the idea that the Bible is not just like written by prophets, but it's the Bible, it's the recitation of Allah, it's the word of God. You know, if you think like the Bible's the word of God and it's pure and inerrant, that's literally the Muslim talking point invented by the Muslims, that the Quran is the recitation of Allah through Gabriel. There's nowhere where the Bible, like the scripture is God breathed, does not mean that it's this perfect voicemail from Jesus, right? But they pretend it is because they learned that from Islam. And there's so many examples of this. Like when Christians are like, oh man, this girl, you can see her cleavage. That's so immodest. Well, Christians used to have statues of titties. Like, have you been to the Vatican? Like, it's not like they're.
It's not
wearing,
PG.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you're a puritanical Christian that wears all black and wants people to cover their bodies with hijabs, you're Sharia. Just so you know, you're not a Christian. You're a Deuteronomist, Satanist, Sharia. I'm not saying that every Sharia even or every Muslim's a Satanist, but if you're a puritanical Christian that hates sex, you worship the devil. I don't want. I mean, maybe I'm just gonna say it like that. That's basically what's going on. Well, that's a fun way.
It's pretty heavy thought. I mean,
Fun way to end the episode, right?
covering up women is kind of
Sharia
it's
Muslim,
weird because like in India, like it's hot, right? So women used to be like topless, like in South India and stuff. You know, why would they have to like get like stifled with more heat? You know.
Yeah,
And
I
then
feel
it's
like
like then they came and then they have to cover everybody up again.
the idea that it's women's fault that you're molesting and assaulting them, that one like that is like a real you problem and not a them problem, right?
Right.
Like, that's the thing that kind of blows my mind. They're constantly blaming women for them molesting women. Cool.
You don't
know?
want beautiful women around. I mean, I don't know. It seems
Apparently,
weird. It's like
apparently
offensive.
no.
They don't
Yeah,
want to
they
see.
think it's offensive. So God's creations that are beautiful and aesthetic are
So
offensive.
does that mean that like it's kind of anti-art then too, right? Because the women,
They are.
it's like so,
Muslims aren't allowed to draw
it's
pictures
like
of faces.
like
and stuff.
Protestant sort of problem is that they're like anti-art. Like
They were
you know,
anti-plays.
they got
you know?
like fold-out chairs in like in the YMCA, and that's where they have.
Also, like, you know how do you make black clothes originally, right? Like, it's from ash and from burnt soy and like all these things. Like the idea of like ashes. I think there's a the burning of the heretic to make the black clothes that they wore in Ash Wednesday from burnt Christians that they were wearing on their skin. These are traditions that Catholics don't
From
realize.
burnt Christians.
Dude, oh, let's do that really quickly. I mean, you've seen probably my skull church video, but
With the Capuchin monks.
I just like to remind people about this Sedlick ossuary, right? So the Sedlick ossuary, here's a church made out of just all of these people were Christians that they didn't like. These were Christians that believed that maybe God was above the Trinity, that the Trinity wasn't completely equal, that God is the Father is still the most important source of all things, like Brahman essentially, or that they Bogomil Christians that thought the Eucharist was not transubstantiation, but was like a ritual that Jesus taught us, like a ceremony that we do, but isn't really the blood of Christ. And then they just were like, well, then we'll drink your blood, you know? And they just like they built churches out of just this is just one room, bro. You can go to so many more.
I think I've seen some of these.
It's so crazy. Like
in
imagine
Italy or France.
what kind
or
of
something.
sick bastard, you know, like does this to Christians, 30, 40,000. He's holding the skull. That sheriff's holding the skull. Just 30,000, 40,000 Christians just all murdered.
Was it the Cadillac symbol?
And go deeper. Look how many bones are behind this, man.
Oh, man.
This is insane. You know what? Like the only thing that this compare this to.
The catacombs.
Did you see the new movie 28 Years Later, where he takes all the dead
Yes.
bodies and he arranges them into piles?
Yes.
Yeah, that's because he's a religious guy. He's like a priest or something at that point. He's a doctor. Oh, it's just, bruh. I mean, these are not. I mean, some of them are Muslims who worship Allah, but these churches are not. This is a
Where is this?
This is in the Czech Republic.
Oh.
Yeah, and but you know what? Pick a church because like this isn't like only in one place.
So are
Now
you
this
thinking
is
like the Capuchin monk, like ossuaries, are like actually heretic bones?
a lot of them are. Yeah, because there's like 40 freaking crusades, and most of them aren't against Muslims. Most of them are against Bogomils, Cathars, Protestants of some kind.
Like what are they? The Decapuchin monks then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good pun. They're decapitating the Capuchin. But I'm sure. All right, well, give me some closing thoughts for 2 hours deep. Noel, what are you thinking about as we like set this audience off on their own dreams?
I think wait and see is a good maxim to live by, you know, instead of like acting suddenly when you see, like, coming back to like trying to advance spiritually instead of suddenly getting up and, you know, being sort of impelled by one's inherent or inherited nature, to like wait and see. So like whether Donnie gave head to Bubba, like wait and see. If there's really a alien asteroid, like wait and see. You know, don't freak out, don't act suddenly, I guess. Don't be so impulsive.
Yeah, don't sell all your stocks yet. Don't sell your house yet, unless you're just trying to get rid of
Yeah,
everything.
you're gonna have bigger problems anyway than saving
Yeah.
your money, and if there's alien.
Your money won't do you any good. All right. I would say also, you know, like connect with people more. Like there's so many people that you can connect with, meet strangers and love them. And also if there are people that you've been fighting with, make up with them. Like if you're arguing with your family, then make up with them somehow. Like try to figure out ways that you can get together on an issue, on, you know, a project, on, you know, helping each other. That's something that really would matter to not just you and them, but even like to your, you know, ancestors or to your, you know, children or to the future, like to the world, right? Try to do something that you find you have in commonality, because you'll be too busy working together to argue over like the small stuff at that point. I think that's important. What about you, Chris?
I want to say thank you first and foremost to everyone watching and you guys, Nell and Andreas, as usual. And I also want to say, if you're trying to get tasks done on a day-to-day basis and you end up procrastinating a little too long, or you just didn't get some stuff done because you were a little too lazy, I would say don't beat yourself up too hard. Forgive yourself and keep trying the next day and take it day by day. And that's it.
Sounds legit. Yeah, and everybody make sure you're in F chat. The conversation never ends in the internal conversation that is F chat. And anything that you feel like you can't say, you can say anonymously there. And we're promoting that. It's also ephemeral, so when you post it, it eventually goes away. So there's not, I don't know, there's not really records of what's going on there. It's pretty great. I'm a big fan. So love you all. See you next time.
Advanced philosophy means